Whew. All right, y'all. Peace, love, and light. Yes. Let's do a breathing session real quick to get started appropriately. All right. That is the meditative mantra of Om Mani Padme Om. So we're going to get into some real quick deep meditation, and we're going to hum. We're going to hold our breath for 30 seconds, and we're going to exhale, and we're going to do that twice so we could bring our exhalation down to 2 exhales a minute, which is going to signal to our vagus nerve that the body is calm, that the body is in a safe place, and you can go from cortisol production, you can go from what's considered fight or flight, you can go from the tense state to a relaxed state, and you can allow things to come in. And ultimately, it will propel you to lock yourself in with the rhythm of the planet, our circadian rhythm, which is our new religion. You know what I'm saying? Being obedient to the breath, which is the supplier of life, it is our life force. It's apolitical, right? It's non denominational, and it's non biased. Everyone that is physically alive is a conduit for breath and spirit. So I acknowledge all of God's children. I acknowledge everyone that has air in their lungs, right? You one of us, you family. Um, Let me know on Instagram. Can you still hear me? I just got a phone call in. Sometimes that knocks out the audio. Yes, you definitely were supposed to be here. The vagus nerve is definitely a critical part of what it is. Okay, that we what we want to target, so we can lock in. So we're going to do our breathing. I hold the breath in the bottom of my stomach like a bong, right? I lock the tip of my tongue to the roof of my mouth, and I internally resonate with the mantra of Om, which is this, the sound that emanates from the center of the universe. So if we want to align ourselves, lock ourselves back with the oneness of the universe, again, dismissive of all of the things that happens when that information or that energy gets to Earth, then we go back into self and get into our breath. So let's do that. Inhale, hold for 30. I hold it like it's air in a bowl. I'm holding my breath, but I'm also humming. I'm doing it in my mind rather than doing it out loud. I'm still creating a resonance, right? So let's do it again. Just like that. I'm gonna do it one more. All right. Let's do it one more time. You know, right out of the gate, you're not going to be able to necessarily probably hold for 30, but hold as long as you can. And not everybody can automatically get into diaphragmatic breathing because you have to loosen up, the muscles in the stomach in order to expand the stomach like a baby does. So I'm understanding of that. You know what I'm saying? You hold it as long as you can for the most part until you can get to 30 seconds, because then that will allow you uh, 2 exhale per minute, and that's gonna lock you in, to that zone state that you want to be in. I'm gonna do one more. I'm gonna inhale through the nose, and I'm gonna exhale out the nose as well. All right, y'all. So we've got in our meditative mantras for the morning, right? And it should set you into a more laid back, subtle state, definitely a state of receiving. Um, in a few weeks, a few strongs, everybody, you'll have some tea to sit with me, so you guys can feel the calm and the peace that I am enjoying at the moment. But allow me, right, to be the conduit to convey it to you. Um, but you guys got to get some of this miracle tea, some of this sweet tea. Shout out to the family that has tapped in on the tea and on the sea moss. You know what I'm saying? Again, we got a nice quantity, right, of that good life, that pure purple, that royal moss. So y'all could DM me afterwards and get your minerals, because this is the Mineral Ministries. Okay. And with no further ado, I want to present to you today's presentation. This is episode 146, right? And it's aptly titled, What's a King to God? Oh, you lost 100 pounds from your ICOTs? I would love to hear about that. Yeah, you should definitely DM me and we could barter. There's never such a thing as too many remedies. You know what I'm saying? Our people are out here suffering. They left our people assed out. We become the laughing stock of the planet because we are the ones that have been blessed. We've been endowed with this cosmic spacesuit, with this piece of technology called melanin, and we have faltered from managing our melanin. And we can't blame the man. You feel me? He don't got melanin. Our melanin ain't for him to manage, my nigga. Everything that he does may potentially be contrary to melanin. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not his to care for. It's not his to manage. He's sulfuric, you're carbon. Y'all have totally different dispositions, but yet and still, here you go, listening to everything, picking up everything that he's putting down when he's speaking about health, right? And his physiology is detrimentally different than yours. And I'm not being separatist, I'm not being a racist, I'm not being any of those things. It's impossible for me. Um, being a realist, being a scientist, you know what I'm saying? I'm speaking directly to what it is that our people are participating and going through. And then I'll go to this book, and this book is just going to reiterate what I'm saying, that we've been doing this forever, right? Worshiping false idols, serving other people's gods, right? Giving the power to kings over the power of quote unquote what it is that we call our creator. When these are just men that have been created, maybe they come from the demiurge, you know what I'm saying? But there's still an aspect of creator that is endowed in all men and all women. Everyone that has a voice, everyone that has a breath, and that's evidence that you have a spirit. So we're all kin to some degree, right? I want to speak directly to my family though, and that shouldn't that shouldn't ruffle anybody's feathers, because once again, you know, the longevity, the dexterity, right, of our people is something that the system has divorced itself from. As we embark on the 1 year anniversary of quote unquote the inauguration of the Trump administration, the day that he came in was the day that we celebrated King, right? Martin Luther King. It was MLK Day last year. And we, for the most part, we transferred obedience to one king and one king's protocol, and we swapped it out for another king, a new king. You know what I'm saying? A lesser king, um, a dictator. You feel me? Who wants to besmirch the legacy of our beloved king, right? By tearing down his legacy, by destroying all of the things that came as a result of the sacrifice of his blood. Okay. These social services, granted, right? And if that's not your cup of tea, then so be it. But what are we going to do to fill in the gaps? What are we going to do to show that we've heeded the calling and heard the message? You feel me? Which is black man, melanated man, carbonated man, Moorish man and women. Do for self, like your ancestors told you. But they're pushing you back into divinity. All the times that they think that they stepping on you, they ultimately push you back into providence. Let me say that again because the people in the back may have not heard me, right? Every time that they propagate to push on you, they only end up pushing you back into providence, right? Case in point, Trail of Tears. Whether our people were the ones that were marching barefoot or the slaves that were following them, allegedly, whether or not it was our people who got driven out of the North Georgian lands, the Carolinas, Alabama, and Mississippi, and driven into what's called Indian Territory, what they call today Oklahoma, they ultimately drove us into Providence because they drove us off of gold rich land. Anywhere that you see the red clay got gold in it. North Georgia, the Longer Mountains was the first place that they did the gold rush before they went to California. And that's what the Trail of Tears was about. That's what the Yazoo land fraud was about. That's what the Indian Removal Act was about. For them to get to the minerals, for them to get to the gold. And what do? They ultimately push you into a land that's oil rich. And what do? We embrace our providence. And we end up with 13 Black Wall Streets, 13 of them. And our people are scrambling as if we don't know what to do to restore ourselves to say, how can we build back our Black Wall Streets? Yes, Choctaw was displaced. Cherokee was displaced. Yamasee was displaced, right? But they were pushed into Providence because they went from one carbon rich land, because gold is a deposit of carbon compressed, just like oil is, just like you are a pressurized, compressed carbon molecule that emits a melanated coating, which gives you the covering of the cosmos and is evidence that you have a contract with the creator, right? It's our contract to fulfill. It's our covenant to keep. This melanin is ours to manage, to make it magic where we could say, my melanin is popping, right? It ain't popping if it's dusty. And yeah, you may have been composed of cosmic stardust, but that's no reason for your ass to be dusty. I'll repeat it. You may have been made from stardust, but there's no reason for your ass to still be dusty. Right? It's time to glow up. It's time to go up. And thankfully, we found a new way to utilize the word of the day, the message, right? To unlock the treasure within So when we look in that mirror, we can see a different version of ourselves. We can remind ourselves, do we hold a contract? Do we have the covenant? Do we are the chosen ones? Right? But you have to elect and choose yourself to be one of the ones in this year one. Right? I welcome everything that comes with this year one. Right? Because blessings abound. These hands are only open to receive blessings and blessings. Right? I pray the same for you, and I pray over you, right? In that same particular manner. This is ours. Let's claim it. Let's get to it. So today's word, episode or epilogue 146, what's a king to a god during MLK weekend? No disrespect to King, right? But definitely a disrespect to the administration. They said Dr. King brought us into a burning house. That's what they said. That's what these niggas alleged took today. So was the ice and the drip a buffer so you won't suffer from being in the burning house? Was it a buffer so you wouldn't suffer for being in the burning house? And what did we do with the woman that came with us in the burning house? We turned her out, right? And had her turning tricks. So when the lights went out, she had to turn a trick so we could keep the lights on, even though we was in the burning house. So we started cannibalizing one another. We started commodifying our bodies. And to this day, we still blaming MLK. But we the ones that ran out and got all that ice because we was in a burning house. And we did the devil's work. And we contracted with the devil and we broke our covenant, right? And we sold poison to our people so we can have the things that were destroyed in the burning house. Why? Because we whore out the shiny shit. Why? Because we fucking dusty. Because we dusty. So we whore out for shiny shit. And we broke our contract. And we are paying the same punishment as the people in this book that I'm going to read about who worship false idols. What's our false idol today? The almighty dollar, right? And the white man, who we consider God. So let's get into it. This is Lionsgate Mineral Ministries. We are non-denominational, mostly conversational, sometimes confrontational. Okay? The way that we go through scripture, we take the Gregorian calendar date, of which today is Janus 18. January named after the Roman god Janus, right? So you have to ask, if we live in a Christian world, if we live in a Christian country, right? Or if we live in a paradigm where we say that we're surrounded by a bunch of people who are tethered to this planet and they're not cosmic, they don't have no cosmic origins, how you allow these people to name your days, how you allow these people to name your months, how you allow these people to name your years, create your calendars, dictate your time, give you your gods, tell you what's food and what isn't, what's acceptable and what's not, what you can say and what you can't, what you can drink and what you won't. Where we at? Are we living under a king? Or are we living under God? And does that king answer to the God that you pray to? Or are you on the triple down aspect of planetary lockdown? Because if that person is worshiping a demiurge or a demigod, then it's like a triple layer oppression that you're going through. You got to kiss the ring of that demiurge, or this particular king is kissing the ring of that demiurge. And then that king is putting on for his people who they're telling you is supreme. And you got to kiss their ring too. Because the fragility of their nature means that you always have to be in worship. Why? Because they false idols. Right? And false idols want to be worshipped. Okay? So let's get into today's word. Shall we? Present Okay, we're gonna remove that off the screen. Let's get into this thing here. How y'all doing out there? Hopefully everybody is in sound mind and being. Hopefully all is well. And if not, let's work through it. Let's walk through it. Let's collectively get through there together. I'm talking about Genesis 1:18. And for those who want to read along and join, because people are always asking me what book am I reading from. This is a compendium of all books. This is called Bible Hub. You can go to BibleHub.com. It's a compendium, and it also acts as a concordance. You know what I'm saying? Um, and it has all of the scriptures interpretations to the left, and then it has the ones that I'm breaking down on the right with cross references, contextual analysis. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, we can go to the concordance. I'll show you the weight of the word, what the word numerically equals, what the whole sentence equals, what that number connects to cosmically, because these are fire letters, so they're all tied into constellations or star systems, right? That's why they reign over you. Okay, so Genesis 1:18, the fourth day, fourth one. God set these lights in the expanse of the sky to shine upon the earth, to preside over the day and the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, the fourth day, right? Remember, he only worked to the sixth day. He put in 144 hours before he tapped out. You could do the math, 24 times 6, right? Because we're bringing it back to the square. We're bringing it back to the cube. This is a cube year that we're in. 26. Yeah, we're going to get rich like Money Mitch, but we also going to walk up out of this bitch having a full and thorough understanding of the dynamics of who and what we call God. Because God is a 4-letter word, tetragrammaton, that has a numerical equivalency of the number 26, because it represents a cube, right? Because the cube is the only number, or 26 is the only number in existence that's in the middle of a square and a cube. 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times 3 is 27. And the center of that is 26, which is the number of what you call God. Yahweh, Jehovah, Tetragrammaton, Metatron. You know. So yes, so someone asked the perfect question. How many days without a sun? 3 days of darkness, right? Which shows you that the primordial gods that precede the good guys were gods of darkness, right? And the people that were here had to have melanated skin. You feel me? They also represented the darkness of the sky. They also were made from mud, but they also come under the vicegerence or the orientation of the gods that preceded the gods of light, right? And you can have them both. I'm not saying pick one or the other. I'm not saying make a binary decision. I'm saying understand, nigga, that you are a perfect consortium of both. So you need to own them both and stop allowing the white boy to run with the concept of the fact that he knows the secret of blackness. He knows the secret of Saturn. So he's on your fucking helmet because you scared of the dark, my nigga. And we're going to stop trying to save niggas that's scared of the dark. Okay? We too deep in this thing to be turning back to go and help niggas that's scared of the dark. And you got a European who's earthbound running circles around you because he understands Saturnian worship and aspects that's a primordial god that was here before the quote unquote gods of light, right? But the further back that you go, that particular primordial god was also a woman. So this is the pantheon of the Liliths of the world. This is the pantheon of the Typhonian magic that was on this planet. This is the pantheon of the matriarch that they don't speak about, that they want to keep in the shadows and dark in the closet, because that what was going on when the planet was dark, because it said that the light came in on the 4th day. So there was 3 days of darkness. Just like they're spooking you now saying, prepare for 3 days of darkness, right? Prepare for 3 days of darkness. Or this year's prepare for, yeah, all that. It's something coming up this year, right? It's going to be 3 days of darkness or 3 hours. I don't know. God damn it. Whatever it is, embrace the darkness. Learn the benefits of the darkness. Learn to see in the dark. Sit in the dark. Nigga, your melanin don't work unless you are in pitch black dark. So if you scared of the darkness, that tells us everything that we need to know. And now we know why you out of whack. Now we know why motherfuckers always gotta, you playing the victim. And you came here as a fucking volunteer. What's the evidence? Your spacesuit. What's the evidence? Your contract. What's the evidence? The fact that you fucking here. Ain't nobody came here on no goddamn vacation. We came to get work done. But somebody convinced you that dark was scary. Somebody convinced you that black was whack. Somebody convinced you that it was something wrong with you. And you needed to be reformed because you don't fit into the model of what the beauty standard is in this particular country, right? So when they said Black Lives Matter, it short-circuited your system because you don't care for black, and you don't think that dark matters either. So the shit rattled your whole system, and they exposed you, nigga. They exposed you, yes, and we live in an upside down world now because of it, because you allowed them to send a motherfucker white warrior on a pale horse to ride up in this bitch, because you didn't understand what having a melanated president did to these people's white fragility. You don't know yourself. You don't know the dynamics of who you are. You don't know why you fucking all powerful or scary, but you scared. And they can smell the fear. And they're circling the wagons because they like, if we don't finish them now, they might fucking wake up. That's why the war's on woke. Because you niggas might wake up. Right? You might stop demonizing consciousness and start embracing it. Your ass might walk into the light backwards. Okay? And become the darkness. Like Charlie Murphy. Yes, the false evidence appearing real got you niggas spooked. And the universe know that you pussy as a result of it. Now everybody's on your helmet. Everybody's stealing your lunch money. Everybody is palming your girl's booty and talking to her crazy like Aiden Ross is to Doechii. Because niggas don't respect you because you're scared of the dark. And you got some earthbound fucking albinos just sitting up there talking about they Satan or Saturn worshipers because you abandoned the post. Our Father. Niggas. Psalms 19:1. For the choir master, a psalm of David, the heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day they pour forth speech, night after night they reveal knowledge. Without speech or knowledge, without a sound to be heard, right? So without speech or knowledge, what comes about? You know what I'm saying? Do we understand, once again, our powers of utilizing our voice to bring things into manifestation? Thoughts or things and words or worlds. So we're creating constantly. Then you got melanin, then you got intent, right? So your intention is more powerful because your melanin gives you ability to be more sentient. The more feeling that you put into a thing, the quicker it is what? Compelled to manifest. Like this, God damn it. So 144 hours is the time that God put in before he took a rest. Why? Because I told you the law of 44 is everything in all things, right? Because the 144 is the giveaway that God builds in squares. Right? Why? Because a square foot is 144 inches. God damn it. So everything in the physical dimension is built out, almost pixelated, because we are built on cubes and boxes, equals 144, the same amount of time that God worked. The 6th day, on the 7th, he took a rest. Right? That was Psalms 19:1 that I cross-referenced with that. And you can see it right here on the screen. Okay. If you have to ask, we could go right to the screen. I'm gonna walk us through this and we're gonna see this for what it is. Right? Yes. And shout out to all of the heavily, deeply melanated family out there, the Doshis of the world, the Wesley Snipes of the world. We made fun and mockery of it as if that's not the dopest shit, as if that's not the evidence of the strongest contract, as if that's not a blessing, as if that's not a kiss from the creator, as if that doesn't give you an advantage, as if oppression by a new king, as if this is not already qualified as one of them ones. Today's episode gonna be one of them ones, and we're gonna qualify it right out the gate. Right? We just in Exodus, and already here we go. Oppression by a new king. Shall we repeat what today's episode is? What's a king to a god? On the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of the new king, right? The self-appointed king, the lesser king, okay? The clown king, and you know who I'm talking about. Exodus 1:18, oppression by a new king. The midwives, however, feared God and did not do as the king of Egypt had instructed. They let the boys live. So the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and asked them, "Why have you done this? Why have you let the boys live?" The midwives answered Pharaoh, "The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, for they are vigorous and give birth before a midwife arrives." They was popping them out, they said. So what they're speaking of is what continues to go on to today, which is the hunting for the firstborn, right? The fear of a black and more Messiah, what King Herod was doing during the times of the prophet, find the firstborn, right? We fear him. We want to eliminate him as a pod, as a seed, as a sprout before he gets into his full-grown nature. Okay? They're doing the same thing now through Big Pharma. They're doing the same thing with all of their particular industries are designed to clip our young kings at their knees so they won't grow past their knees, right? Negroes won't grow past the knees. We have to protect our seeds. We call them YNs. We did a bad job. Yes, all youth are rebellious. We all go through layers, and my generation was rebellious. They called us something different. We called ourselves something different, right? But this thing has become systematic to a point where we can no longer ignore it. I see what's going on with the youth. I see what's going on with Aiden Ross. I see how they're under the yoke of the narrative. I see how they're starving for acceptance. I see how they're looking for a home because they feel homeless, so to speak. I see that we have now allowed the children of the devil to poison the mind of our children, and they have platformed them. They value their words. Yes, these young Nagas have to know that we care, have to feel our presence, right? We have to value their existence. They are our future. They have to hear this year that we care enough that we're willing to intervene. But we're coming with resources. We're coming with things. We're not pointing fingers. We're not being judgmental. You know what I'm saying? We're just reminding them what's akin to a God. And these are God's children. These are God's children. You feel me? And they on demon time, right? Is that because they don't know God? Or the version of this system's God, the version of Aiden Ross's God ain't the God that they rock with. The version of Trump's God ain't the God that they rock with. The version of motherfucking maybe even Reverend Al's God, if he's a reverend, whatever God that he worshiped in his pulpit, we could say, yeah, maybe we don't necessarily rock with that. So the children said that they on demon time. The way that we act in society, peace, Doc, people would say that we were on demon time when we were growing up. Why? Because it wasn't in obedience to God. But if this system is portraying itself as a system that's underneath God, I don't want the God that this system prays to, right? I don't pray to Moloch. I don't pray to the almighty dollar. So we have to certify and verify, what God are you talking about? Don't take it for surface value. They got to show and prove, right? Maybe we all talking about different gods. So if the children are rebelling and they saying they on demon time, and we're like, oh my God, we're clutching our pearls, is that them rebelling against the system that is propping itself up to say that they are vicegerents of God? Because this administration has the nerve to say that they are representative of God, and this is a Christian country, and they want to create a theocracy, whereas the God that they worship is a Christian nationalist God. Is that your God? Is that your God? Yes, because one man's God could be another man's devil, as told to us by our good brother Bobby Hemmett. So let's get into Exodus. Let's get into a cross-reference and we'll keep it pushing. Romans 13:1, everyone must submit himself to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which is from God. The authority that exists have been appointed by God. Consequently, whoever resists authority is opposing what God has set in place, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. And to that, I would say this, right? Well, I did a song about it. Want to hear it? Here it go. Just the opening salvo of it, because I wanted to speak to it. I wanted to speak to it.
Your initiation that you become God is in your struggle.
In your struggle.
So for the mere fact that you're catching hell and going through this struggle is a form of initiation.
It is.
But you must understand that what I'm saying to you is,
why would I become a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Why?
To be born into this world a slave of bureaucracy.
Why?
If I'm the chosen one, why would I want to run with a democracy?
Why?
And the etymology means bar rule. But I'm governed by God's rule. And I came to make good on my covenant. And nowhere in that contract does it say follow the government. And speaking of government, I was promised 40 acres and an odd mule. But they reneged and pulled back like the Bay of Pigs. And because of it, to this day we feel the brunt of it.
And today, because of it, we feel the brunt of it, right? So if I came here under a contract that was signed between me and my creator, how am I come here into the devil's domain? He don't worship the same God as me. He got all of these man-made laws, codes, and ordinances, which I can't go back to the book and say, oh, this is going to keep me in consistent observation of my initial contract. So what am I left with? Do I obey the system or do I obey my creator? And herein lies the problem. And this is the travesty and the tragedy and the gravity that all prophets prior to myself have dealt with. And I'm just saying, I got a prophetic vision, that's all. Hey, I'm a 6 of club. That's the prophet card. John the Baptist. Yes, and the sins of the father run definitely deep when you're no longer honoring your contracts. So let's keep it moving. Let's get to Leviticus 118. It only goes to 117, so we'll walk with them. Laws for burnt offerings. And he is to remove the crop with its contents and throw it to the east of the altar in the place for ashes. He shall tear it open by its wings without dividing the bird completely. And the priest is to burn it on the altar atop the burning wood. It is a burnt offering, an offering made by fire, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Right? So I keep telling you the etymology of the word God means libation. Pour libations, burn incense, and make invocations. That is the etymology of God. That is the description, the most antiquated description of how they identified people dealing with worship of an entity. Right? This particular entity, though, this in this book, again, you have to qualify, is the God that they talking about in this book your God? Is this your creator? Is this who you signed your contracts with? Is this the source that you come from? Or is this some man-made shit? Because the God that they talking about, he want blood and guts as a burnt offering. It needs to be holocaust. And the word holocaust means burnt offering. Okay? So that's how God wants his tributes. That's how he wants his offerings. With me, you could just cash at me. You know what I'm saying? But God wants his offerings and his tithing in burnt meat. Okay? And that was part of the contract. If this is who your people are, this is who you niggas say you is. How many animals did you burn this morning as an offering to the Most High before you get down on your knees and start praying? Yes, the jealous one. Now, whether we talking about Yaldabaoth or not, right? Whether we talking about Yaldabaoth or not, nigga, it's a little too late for you. If this is what you say your thing is, right? Are you paying your tithes the right way? Or is this why your prayers ain't answered? Or you the Reformed Jews? Okay, you niggas is Christians. All right. Numbers 15:3, but this was the covenant. The contract and the covenant was you niggas is gonna get circumcised, right? And you're gonna make your daily offerings like the Muslims make them daily prayers, okay? And you present a food offering to the Lord from the herd or flock to produce a pleasing aroma to the Lord, either a burnt offering or a sacrifice for a special vow or free will offering or appointed feast. Okay, so you speak to your God, you speak to your creator through the medium of food, right? You create a pleasing aroma to his nose, his olfactory system, which is connected to his stomach or his gut or his God. And then, right, he show up to hear what the fuck you asking for. But before that, my nigga, yeah, call Tyrone because you can't get him on the phone, right? He ain't home. He like, whatever. I'ma do you like I did Cain and made Cain lose his shit and turn around and kill his brother Abel because Cain brought him fruit from the garden. Cain was a farmer. Okay. Abel was a herder. Abel dealt with livestock. Abel brought him curry mutton, and that's what God wanted. So he roofed the upper nigga. Right? But when his obedient son, when his obedient son got sent up by the disobedient one, what did he do? He still endowed him, and Cain became the craft of the drillers, the killers, and the spillers. And to this day, that is one of the strongest crafts on this planet. Because the first murderer got a pardon. Yeah, they didn't have no special prosecutors back then. So God had to exile him. But he went and found him some other killers that loved blood. Just like he found out God loved blood. Because when he spilled Abel's blood, my nigga, God still accepted it as an offering. He did. I'm sorry. Numbers 118. The number of every tribe. So Moses and Aaron took these men who had been designated by name, and on the first day of the second month, they assembled a whole congregation and recorded their ancestry by clans and family, counting one by one the names of those 20 years of age or older, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. So Moses numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai. Yes. And Cain etymologically equals the word king. Let's look up the etymology of Cain. Let's see who it is that we dealing with these pardoned murderers that still get to run free today, right? And the very fact that they tell you this is a Christian country, but there's a separation of church and state. I guess they got to change that at some point. When your ass turned 18, they put a rifle in your hand and tell you to go kill and let God sort them out. But that was for the separated state that's not part of the church, which is God. So you're going to break your contract and your covenant when you turn adult age right away? You was born in sin, lived your whole life looking to be saved, only to go into the army to sin again. And that's a sin that you can't remove. It's the stain of Cain. You get initiated into a fraternity, right? That is an eternal one, a global one. Nobody tells you how powerful that clan is, though. Right? Cain. To raise Cain, behave disruptively. Eldest son of Adam and Eve, the first murderer and the first fratricide, from Hebrew, Qayin, literally created one. Also smith, from Semitic stem, to form, to fashion, right? So I ain't making this up. I told you that Cain represents the craft, right? And the craft is the craft of killers and drillers, which is a necessary and needed craft because somebody got to make the sacrifice because God needs an offering consistently, right? And Abel was the initial one that was endowed to off the animals. Cain came and he offed his brother. He was the first murderer, right? A craftsman, the craft of the driller, the killer, and ultimately the drug dealer. Surnames: McCain are a contraction of Irish MacCathan, son of Cathan, or Celtic Cathan, literally warrior, from Cath, battle, right? Figurative use for murderer, fratricide. The Cainites were heretical sects who revered Cain, Judas, and other wicked characters in scripture, right? The Cainites, not Cainites, but the Cainites. Yes, and Cain's son was Enoch. How about it? Let's run it. Let's run the full Monty, my niggas. Okay? Let's get all the way down up in there. Deuteronomy. We're on the fourth book now. 118. Moses appoints leaders. Show no partiality in judging. Hear both small and great alike. Do not be intimidated by anyone, for judgment belongs to God. I'll repeat that. For judgment belongs to God. So what do I always say? What do I always say? Right? In order to be free from the prison planet, the one thing, there's two things that you have to sidestep. You have to sidestep judgment, and you also have to sidestep, ultimately, at some point, any allegiance. And this is a tricky one because it goes into your contract and your cosmic covenant, right? But you shouldn't have any allegiance at some point once you get into your enlightenment of ethnicity, skin tone, none of that stuff, right? Because you got to see all as one. That's when you graduate, right? That's when you graduate. That's when you get into a higher elevated state. Any and everything that has that spark of light, all things that are animated with spirit, is part and parcel to the one. So you can't look at skin color. You can't look at race and ethnicity. You can't look at gender. You can't look at any of that. All of it goes back to source. So you got to graduate, right? For now, I'm gonna have some fun with it. But you got to graduate, right? where it's no longer a contest, it's no longer a challenge. It's just you and creator, right? You surrender to it. Somebody asked a good question. I'll entertain it. If the God Cain was dealing with the devil, though, not the divine creator, the devil don't kill people. The devil's not endowed to strike shit down. Somebody struck down, uh, well, if Cain took Abel, which was God's favorite, and then had to pay a price for it, where was God at? Did he not step in? Did he have no say in it? So what's the use of being God's favorite? All right. So that's the etymology of Cain, right? The clan of Cain. We'll do a show on that one day. Okay. I want to invite some people who have actually, stepped into that realm, that they've taken lives. I want them on the program. I want to interview some people who belong to the clan of Cain. Right? See how they sleep. See what's on the other side in their dreams. See what voices are in their heads. Or we can also see how free they are from the vigors of mortality. Because when you take a life, you some people are imbued with a whole nother energy, they imbue with a whole nother outlook of life and existence and the value and different shit is, you're stepping into a whole different realm. So you got to hear it from them people directly. Have you ever taken a life of an animal? Like even taking a life of an animal, it you feel the life leaving from them. It's a whole nother experience. It does something to you. And it does something to you. God has forethought. If Cain was his fave, that means God is from the underworld, to coin a phrase. If God is all knowing, right, how did he let that play out? Was he not the manipulator? He manipulated the feelings because Cain got in his feelings. He was pushed to do those things based on his what? Not being accepted by his father. So his feeling of rejection, his feeling of abandonment turned him into a unregulated YN. He didn't get the hugs, he didn't get the attention, and he participated in fratricide. And our people right now are suffering from fratricide. I don't care what this administration got planned. What are we doing to one another? And how long has this thing been going on? Who can step in between it? Right? We want to resuscitate and put oxygen back into the streets. And the streets are the very places taking the lives from our babies, where they're demonstrating that they're on demon time because they're killing young gods, they're killing young nagas. Not because they're rebelling against this system. No, they work for this system. They worship this system. They are minions of this system. You know what I'm saying? And if MAGA is and let's do it right here. What's the definition of MAGA? It's the fifth and highest order of the Church of Satan. So if our children is saying they on demons time, but MAGA already is the Church of Satan, right? MAGA is the highest degree in the Church of Satan. The hierarchy in the Church of Satan. Let's go to this family. Since y'all just don't think that a nigga sitting here just exhausting his voice. Let's go there so we can see what's going on for real with these children of ours. This is going to be a pivotal year. And how our children are able to either pivot off of the Aiden Ross train before it crashes, whether they decided they're going to follow academics, right? And show that they have no self-respect for themselves or the young women in our society. Let's read it. So this is the Church of Satan website, right? churchofsatan.com. For somebody that is so defiant to what the system's supposed to represent, Satan is out in the open. They got P.O. boxes, mailing addresses, websites. Like, they ain't hard to find. I never seen the military do a strike on them. I never seen them designated as domestic terrorists. If we live in a Christian country, what would be the ops? Registered member, no degree. Active member, Satanist, first degree. Witch, warlock, second degree. Priestess, priest, third degree. Magistra or magister, fourth degree. MAGA or magus, fifth degree. Okay, let's keep it moving, y'all. There's nothing here to watch. There's nothing here to watch, right? But let's not turn the lights off on our children, these YNs, these young Nagas. We need our children. We need our babies. We cannot relinquish them to the auspices of the Church of Satan to be on demon time, right? But we need to give them a new, renewed outlook as to who and what God is, what those powers encompass, what that promise is hitting for, right? We need to make good on our contract. Then when they see Unc and then when they see the ones who do have a genuine love for the Creator, being endowed and blessed by Creator, having clear-cut communications and conversations with Creator, then they'll start asking questions. Then they'll come around. But until then, good luck. Ezekiel 44:23. They are to teach my people the difference between the holy and the common and show them how to discern between the clean and the unclean. In any dispute, they shall officiate as judges and judge according to my ordinances. They must keep my laws and statutes regarding all my appointed feasts, and they must keep my Sabbaths holy. Right? So there's considerations for these contracts. No, those are the test tube babies. Well, even if that is the case, then what are we to do with them? Right? Are we to abandon them even if they're test tube babies? Right? The European was created in the test tube according to some people's analysis, according to some people's narratives, right? You ain't left him alone. You still trying to reform him. You want what he got. You attracted to his light. You laid up in his burnt house. So no, we're not going to abandon the YNs. We're not going to do that. Joshua 1:18. Joshua takes charge. Just as we obey Moses in all things, so we will obey you. And may the Lord your God be with you as he was with Moses. Anyone who rebels against your order and does not obey your words, all that you command him will be put to death. Above all, be strong and courageous. Once again, the clan of Cain is the one that emerges to the front because Abel got put in the dirt long time ago in the narrative. So there's no peace bringers, there's no peace givers, there's no more, there ain't none of that. Only the clan of Cain, my nigga. Right? Only the clan of Cain. Killers, drillers, yeah, and drug dealers. That's the clan of Cain. Mercenaries, hired guns, hitmen. You know what I'm saying? Spinners. Oh, my bad. Yeah, you gotta, so the test tube babies are not able to convert because they have a catabolic deficiency at the core of their design, which is their inability to convert, melanin into food source, which means that the evidence of the quote unquote deficiency that you can see by way of their eyes mean that there's an aspect of their wiring that also must be recessive. because the eyes are directly connected to the brain. So a person's inability to look into the color spectrum or look into the depth of things or look past black and white, that's impossible for people who could not perceive that deep into the color spectrum. So I don't know if you can reform that. You got to let them people be. You got to let them people be. You know what I'm saying? Because they very well may have the lifespan of a fruit fly. They very well may be not understanding that all empires only last 250 years. So these people may definitely be looking to burn this thing out. And if you follow them over that cliff, what does that say about you? But if you're resilient enough to know that your lifespan, your bloodline extends trillions and millions and billions of years, then you'll hunker down somewhere and you'll be still and you'll get out the way, right? And you will implore your ability to feed yourself, to house yourself, right? As the only thing that's needed for you to raise new children, new YNs, you new young Nagas that have not been exposed to devil's pie, who have not breathed air out of the devil's sky. Yeah, there's something in the water. You feel me? You need 7 straight years raising children where they have not been exposed to this world of the devil. We can raise a whole new people. We can feed a whole new people. We can laugh in the face of the devil and say that your plan has failed and your time has run out. Deuteronomy 31:6, and remind yourself of this. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified of them, for it is the Lord your God who goes with you. He will never leave or forsake you. What is a king to a God? I ask. Right? Show no fear. Show no fear. Judges 118. They said MLK led us into a burning house. So is that why niggas got ice and drip? So that can be the buffer, right? Because they still ran into that goddamn house and they started trapping out of it. They turned the burning house into a bando, but they want to blame King. King ain't tell you to go and get the bling. King ain't tell you to sell no motherfucking poison so you could go and get the bling. Because you a whore of shiny things. King didn't tell you that. King told you to have a dream. We're little boys and girls. We turned the burnt house into a bando. And then instead of loving on our neighbor, we started pimping our neighbor out or pimping the woman in our house out to our neighbor. And he became the fucking John. And that John the Baptist, he was baptizing us with Benjis, my nigga. And we supplemented our income, right? With our woman. But then got in our feelings when she said, fuck, if I'm the breadwinner in this situation, I might as well go get a job, right? Because the man want to put me on a register. You want to put me on my back. And I can't even get no nail money out of that shit. But you're in your feelings because you lost your true prize. You lost your true booty because she figured just how to level up. If you're going to be in this system playing this white man's game, then she's going to go straight to God, nigga, and leave you wherever you at still trying to figure it out because you have not exerted yourself in the system yet. Since you got in this burning house to show that, nigga, I could just go build a new one right next to it. I'm going to tear down the burning house. I still own the plot. Let me just build a fucking new house. You over here still trying to scrub the goddamn burning house down and refurbish a burning house. Jerusalem and Hebron captured. Then the men of Judah went with their brothers, the Shimeonites, attacking the Canaanites living in Zephath, and devoted the city to destruction. So it was called Hormah. And Judah also captured Gaza, Ashkelon, and Ekron, each with its territory. The Lord was with Judah, and they took possession of the hill country, but they could not drive out the inhabitants of the plains because they had chariots of iron. Which again shows you evidence. If iron smeltering was taking place in Africa and West Africa, of all places, where the fuck is they talking about? Where are they talking about? Where are they talking about? The dream definitely began to get the bling, right? Because we hoard ourselves out for shiny things. Turned the burning house into the trap house. And then the crackheads came and got burnt out. And the Johns came and got turned out. And then we drove the property value down on the burn house, nigga. And now they got McMansions on that block because they gentrified it because you played the game and you lost. And now we live in the results of the game being fucking lost. But all is not done. Right? As long as we got breath in our body, there's still a redemptive quality. As long as we got breath in our body, we can still revisit the table and amend this contract and this covenant. As long as there's breath in our body, we can still come back under the dominion of our deity. And with open hands, expect to receive the rewards of righteousness, right? But it got to be in your heart first. Because your heart, which is the main pumper of blood, the main conduit of energy, of Pharaoh energy, you will magnetize these things to you if it's truly on your heart. All four valves. If it's truly in your heart, then you will become an immediate magnetizer to the things that you mentally are able to meditate and manifest on. If it's in your heart, because you got melanin. You got the magic, my nigga, and you playing the victim, and nobody respects that. Joshua 10:40. So Joshua conquered the whole region, the hill country, the Negev, the foothills and the slopes, together with all their kings, leaving no survivors. He devoted to destruction everything that breathed, just as the Lord, the God of Israel, had commanded. The clan of Cain. Joshua conquered the area from Kadesh Barnea to Gaza and the whole region of Goshen as far as Gibeon. And because the Lord, the God of Israel, fought for Israel, Joshua captured all these kings and their land in one campaign. I mean, we've been named a lot of things out the Bible. I ain't meet enough Joshuas. Shout out, hey Josh. Josh, tap in. Right? You've been endowed with the hand of battle where you've been able to crush kings in the name of your God. Thus, today's episode is titled, What's a King to a God? If the king is doing the bidding of the God, but not if the king thinks that God is there to serve him, nigga. And that's the type of situation that you find yourself in right now. You're under a self-appointed king who thinks that he's God and God has been put in the sky to do his bidding, right? The nigga had the nerve to create an extortion ring that he calls a piece or a piece. The country's got to pay him $1 billion to stay on his good side. They done figured out how to create bureaucratic extortion rackets. RICO right in your face on a global gaslighting scale. And the people are acting none the wiser. How do I know? Because they still sitting on their ass. It's MLK weekend and they don't even got a No Kings rally. This is the 1 year anniversary of this nigga's administration. It's supposed to be the biggest demonstrations in the country. Not just in the Twin Cities. Shout out to Minneapolis. You know they got to activate St. Paul or St. Pablo in the conversation. Because if you haven't noticed at this point, right, we got a finger on the pulse of this narrative. So you can't keep us out of it. Pope Pablo here to stay. Yeah, so shout out all of the people in the Twin Cities. In 2020 was George Floyd. In 2025 is Renee Good. I'm going to go through there. I got a lecture coming up with Red. I'm going to peel that shit back right there. Ruth's loyalty to Naomi. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me and ever so severely, if anything but death separates you and me. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped trying to persuade her, right? Every girl need a homegirl like that. You understand me? Every girl need a homegirl like that. Black women, melanated women, Moorish women, y'all need to be banded together like that. Y'all are sisters going through this thing. Y'all are not enemies. Why y'all so catty towards one another? When could we have this conversation? Daughters, why y'all hate on one another so fucking much? Can we get y'all in a room and have a real conversation? I'm willing to referee. I'm willing to be the Pope, to mediate. But I need to hear some solid questions of why y'all treat one another the way that you do. Is it a byproduct of the fact that you've been exposed to poison? Sitting in the pews of the clan of Cain all your life? So all you know is hate and strife, right? The shit is American as apple pie. I don't like that shit. Ecclesiastes 4:9, 2 are better than one because they have a good return for their labor. For if one falls down, his companion can lift him up, but pity the one who falls without another to help him up. I'm gonna repeat that, right? And it's so important that we understand not the rhetoric of unity, but the strength of unity. I got this team that I'm with. Shout out to the Farmy. And we are showing one another in real time the manifestation, the quantum powers of unity. We're planting plants, right? We're cultivating things, right? But it is going so much quicker because we're working together in tandem as a unit. That you don't know what that person right beside you, their hands can be blessed. That person right beside you can be part of a bloodline of green thumb farmers. That person right beside you, the ancestors, is just waiting to work through them, to do what we do naturally as a people that we have gotten far away from, which is grow food, provide for ourselves, be kings of our own home, be gods of our own universe. The minute that we stop doing that, we put ourselves in proximity for this cracker to kick us in our motherfucking butt, kick us in our head, punch us in our jaw, throw us under his deodorant, and treat us like children. And he got so tired of that shit, holding niggas up, that he like, I'm not even feeding you real food no more. Feed you niggas plastic. Feed you niggas plastic. Tell you niggas go eat bugs. Right? I'm gonna make a big deal about giving you assistance to buy poison. I'm gonna make a big deal about it. You're gonna fight for it. You're gonna fight for the right to feed your babies poison. And I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna laugh at you, right? And I'm gonna do it through a nigga who sound like he got a frog in his throat. Now, shout out to RFK, man. Look, I might not fuck with the admin, but if y'all see me on the Make America Healthy Again campaign, don't knock the hustle, nigga. Okay? Don't get in your feelings. Understand that I'm doing this. I'm working. I'm strangling the angle for us. Okay? Because RFK, he's playing our game right now. Right? You know what the fuck we told him to go up in there and do. I'm letting the cat out the bag, but the nigga worked for us. Prove me wrong. All right. Hannah's praise for a son. 1 Samuel 1:18. Go in peace, Eli replied, and may the God of Israel grant the petition you have asked of him. May your maidservant find favor with you, said Hannah. Then she went on her way and she began eating again, and her face was no longer downcast. She started eating again, and her face was no longer downcast. Good food lifts you up. Good food gives you energy and vitality. My mama called me today and said she just had 1 plate of Sprouts that I so graciously left for her. And it changed the whole disposition of how she felt for the day. She couldn't stop smiling. She couldn't stop glowing. Good food does something different to your energy. Good food does something different to how you move and pass through this world. Good food does something totally different to how you show up for one another. Right? I pray that you all gain access to good food and that you experience it in a lifetime, because once you do, you won't go back. And you're talking to someone who spent a considerable amount of finances in the last 5 years, 6 years here in Atlanta, dedicating myself to supporting vegan establishments who overpromised and underdelivered. Tell you, overpromised and underdelivered. And I got the receipts to show that I ain't get what I paid for. And that's only for me to blame, because they had shiny campaigns, my nigga, and I bought into them. But there's a major gap that's missing with the food experience. Affordable food. Make food fun again is the campaign. Farm me forward. I'm dedicated. My life is going into this. Standing on this. This is my business. And it may be a business, but I mean, it's my business. It might be a business, but it's my business. It's my business. My business is bigger than business, nigga. I'm talking about beyond the LLC. It's my business. It's my business. I accepted the bid from the creator to be a co-creator, to make food fun again, to make food functional again, to make families fruitful again. This is my bid. This is where I accept. You know how you go to sam.gov and you accept a bid from the government and you like, yeah, I want to bid on this. And these are my qualifications. And then, you get the bid. This is my bid. That when Jesus told Peter, nigga, stop telling me that you love me, right? I don't need platitudes, nigga. Feed my people. You want to show me that you love me? Feed my people, and I'm going to tell you. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm having a real moment with you. God damn it. Don't take this no way, right? Don't take this no way. The most value that I saw in my life, right? The most love that I had for myself was when I fed the homeless on Skid Row. I cannot explain the feeling. I cannot explain the overwhelming feeling that I felt closer to the creator than I've ever felt before. When I was in the service of other people, feeding them, right? And not to the degree where I was facilitating, because I don't even like how that sounds. Like I was feeding them. I was facilitating food getting into their vessel. And it was like 8 and 9 in the morning that I would show up, and I would be in all white with a walking stick with sacred gems on them, and they would call me Moses on Skid Row because I lived on Spring and 5th Street. So I had to walk by homeless people every single day. I had to step over them to get into the door. And I wanted to do something about it because I recognized that, yeah, shout out to Kwame, shout out to Seaweed, and there was a few people came out with us, but not that many. But we didn't need a battalion of people. We got it done. And I was able to feed over 200 plus people on Skid Row with only $50 worth of food, right? Cheat code. Up the block from Skid Row is a Food Depot place that sells food for Whole Foods. Like, I mean, wholesale. Like if you own a restaurant establishment and you got to go and buy a big quantity of food, the place to do it, the Food Depot for that is right down the block from Skid Row. So they got insurmountable amount of food that comes through that community every day, and they throw it away rather than pass it out. And when we started feeding the family down there, then the state came, the city came with ordinances, and they outlawed feeding people on Skid Row. I don't know if it was directly because of what we were doing, but the timing couldn't have been, more coincidental, right? And I still went and fed people on Skid Row afterwards. So yes, the power is in the food. The functionality of food is that there's no other way that I can tell a friend that they're my friend but to give them good food. And food is what brought families together because we will always be around the kitchen table. It was for the food. When we started eating plastic, we could no longer sit at the kitchen table. We bounced because we're full of plastic. So we can't sit, we bounce. We are taking on the personality of not only plastic, but genetically modified organisms. How do I know? Because a genetically modified seed has 2 character traits. It's weather resistance and it's a terminator seed. So what does that mean? When I see these young women and it's 30 degrees outside and they got their jacket open with their belly ring showing, and the brothers got their drawers showing because they got their pants down. Now I saw this in New York City, in Harlem, of all places, when I hustled on them streets. And it was 20 degrees outside, and the YNs, the young niggers, and the YNs would have their skin exposed in 20 and 30 degree weather, right? It made no goddamn sense, other than the fact that they had now become part of the genetically modified organism. Okay, that they had now become part and parcel to a genetically modified organism, right? Which is weather resistant, and it's a terminated seed. So I also saw young women pushing strollers, right? But the young women will have a AG next to them, and what the AG is, that's a what they would call a stud, or they call it an aggressive. The term for them was they look like Lil Wayne, goddammit, but they women. And the girl she's pushing the stroller, and the baby can't be more than 6 months, but she's made this alternative choice already. Why? Because they are exhibiting the traits of GMOs. You understand? And our people are operating in a capacity as if they're plastic, so they can no longer sit down and focus. Everything is here with it, right? We think about the child that has been raised off formula, and that child has been introduced to Similac and formula and Lord knows what else, and then it's cereal, then it's ultra processed food, then it's fast food. That child's entire cellular structure has now been reconstituted in the realm of 120 days and plus to now create new cells that are replicas of the things that child is eating, so that child has become plastic. We have to unplasticize our people. by bringing back real food, make food functional again, make farming fun again, and make families fancy again. So our people want to do it. We got to create FOMO for families so our people want to do it again. Right? And we're also dealing with a birth deficit that we're not having enough babies. But we're not marrying enough of these ladies to have these babies. Because I don't advocate for babies out of wedlock. You understand me? But at the same time, we got to have these children. But we got to deal with the ones that are alive now that's on demon time. That need a new concept of God, a new concept of divinity, a new concept of something that is worthy of their attention, something is not, I wouldn't use the word worship. I would use the word obedience. I would use the word worthy of their time, right? And what better way to introduce that? How creator that provides not just food, housing, opportunity, right? Family, because they want community. They want to be part of something. Okay. 2 Samuel 1:18. David's song for Saul and Jonathan. Then David took up this lament for Saul and his son Jonathan, because they were both murdered. And he ordered that the sons of Judah be taught the song of the bow. It is written in the book of Jashar. Your glory, O Israel, lies slain on your heights. How the mighty have fallen. How the mighty have fallen. Okay? So how the mighty have fallen. Joshua 10:13. So the sun stood still and the moon stopped until the nation took vengeance upon its enemies. Ooh. The way that these people have fashioned and formulated narrative and scripture around the insistence that they do the bidding of their God, which is catching bodies, is unprecedented, my nigga. They said that the sky didn't stop, right? Until they get to wash up their enemies. So the sun stood still and the moon stopped until the nation took vengeance upon its enemies. Is this not written in the book of Jashar? So the sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day, right? That's some hella magic right there, right? That is a divine insistence on vengeance. What do we feel so compelled about as a people that we feel so moved that we like, yo, nigga, it's time to put that work in. You feel me? And we're going to keep the sun hostage in the sky to bear witness to the work that we put in. The street's going to be flowing with it. What do we feel that compelled about as a people? Is there anything that signals to us that it's a time to make a move and not play no games? Do we value our women enough to do that for them? Our children, our babies, right? Our economies, our ability to eat, to feast. Because I've seen this whole administration play with our people's longevity and suffer no repercussions for it. Just, a lot of angry people on social media. But they telling you people to go and eat worms. Why why they wallow around in billions? They telling y'all to go and eat worms. You feel me? It signaled to us that it was time to do for self. And I'm thankful, because as the result of that, what comes out of that is not us never having to ask for anything from them people ever again, right? But the quicker that becomes valuable to us as a people, right? The quicker that we embrace that as a people and we collectivize our activities, then we can feed that many more of our people that much quicker, right? Now we got a whole barter system going, you know. Now we could be doing business with one another. Now we're in business. Now we went from people trying to figure out how to eat to now people that are in the business of helping other people eat. Feel me? Just like that. And us first. You know, no disrespect to nobody else. I'm just saying that this is something that we know that we have to do for self. So why not do it the same way that we do everything else at the highest level, right? Fashionably. Fashionably. Yes. So somebody asked me to post for the offerings. When you send to offering, please put in the title that it's a gift offering. It's the $ Miss Harvey 917. Thank you. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah, let's get into this. Nathan and Bathsheba before David. This is 1 Kings 1:18. My Lord, she replied, you yourself swore to your maidservant by the Lord your God. Surely your son Solomon will reign after me, and he will sit on my throne. But now, behold, Adonijah has become king, and you, my Lord, did not know it. And he has sacrificed an abundance of oxen, fattened calves, and sheep, and has invited all of the other sons of the king, as well as Abiathar the priest and Joab the commander of the army, but he did not invite your servant Solomon. Right? So they was plotting. They was plotting. You know what I'm saying? And we know how that ended up. Right? Yeah. The campaign and the slogan is Farms Across America, not Arms Across America. Farms Across America, a wave of Renaissance farming, micro gardens, right? We're bringing micro farming as a concept to our people to not only sustain themselves in their own household. You're going to be able to feed the block, and then with your surplus, you could either deal with us because we are looking for farming surplus for our subscription-based service, or you could create your own farmers market, or go to, you know, find you a small town to tie down right where you at. Become the source, not the resource. It's all good. 1 Samuel 16:1, before we move on, since we're speaking on kings. Now the Lord said to Samuel, how long are you going to mourn for Saul, since I have rejected him as king over Israel? Fill your horn with oil and go. I am sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem, for I have selected from his sons a king for myself. How can I go? Samuel asked. Saul will hear of it and kill me, the Lord answered. Take a heifer with you and say, I have come to sacrifice to the Lord. Then invite Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show you what you are to do. You are to anoint for me the one I indicate. Wow. Wow. So once again, and we have to say this process that they are utilizing, this is just for historical purposes, the anointing of a king. And we know that Christ, or Christos, means the anointed one. The anointing comes from Heliopolis, or a place in Egypt called On, right? And in this particular place, which is tied to Babylonian traditions and things of that nature, they use crocodile fat, and the crocodile fat was what you anoint the king with. So this is an old Comitian ceremony that they utilize in ancient times to anoint their kings, the anointed ones. You feel me? The chrism oil, or the Christ oil, it's the same oil that you create, that pushing it through the coccyx all the way up to the crown. That's like that spinal tap fluid, that great creative elixir. Yes, over your ori. So that even probably goes further than that, right? because we know the tradition of the Ori or the head in African spiritual traditions and the anointing of that. 2 Kings 118, Joram succeeds Ahaziah. So Ahaziah died according to the word of the Lord that Elijah had spoken. And since he had no son, Jehoram succeeded him in the 2nd year of the reign of Jehoram, son of Jehoshaphat, over Judah. As for the rest of the acts of Ahaziah, along with his accomplishments, they are not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Israel. Right? He was ringing bells. It's like, y'all got no more stories about him? He was putting it down. 2 Chronicles 33:18. As for the rest of the acts of Manasseh, along with his prayers to his God and the words of the seers who spoke to him in the name of the Lord, the God of Israel, they are indeed written in the chronicles of the kings of Israel. His prayer and how God received his plea, as well as all his sin and unfaithfulness in the sites where he built high places and set up Asherah poles and idols before he humbled himself, they are indeed written in the record of the seers. Right? So the Asherah poles, we know that that's all for Babylonian worship, or what they call, creating false idols to oneself. 118, from Adam to Abraham, right? Because Abraham was Abram from Ur Chaldea. He was a Babylonian. And if this is come on. If this is supposed to be a continuation, if you will, of one's bloodline or the generations that flow from that bloodline, and you are what your father is, how did these people unbecome Babylonians if their forefather comes from Babylon? Right? The sons of Shem, Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Meshach. Arphaxad was the father of Shelah, and Shelah was the father of Eber. 2 sons were born to Eber. One was named Peleg, because in his days the earth was divided, and his brother was named Joktan. So, yes. That's that Shemitic bloodline that we touched on. 2 Chronicles 118. Let's get into it. It only goes to 117. Solomon's riches. We love talking about Solomon's riches over here. Solomon's horses were imported from Egypt in Q. The royal merchants purchased them from Q. A chariot could be imported from Egypt for 600 shekels of silver and a horse for 150. Likewise, they exported them to all of the kings of Hittites and all of the kings of Aram. Right? So Solomon was balling. He was like Donald Trump Jr. spending all of his daddy's loot. Because they said Donald made a few billions last year. That shit is for Barron and Donald Jr. to burn through. So which one of them is going to be Solomon? Isaiah 31:3. But the Egyptians are men, not God. Their horses are flesh, not spirit. When the Lord stretches out his hand, the helper will stumble, and the one he helps will fall. Both will perish together. Right? So they seemed intimidated by the Commissions. You know what I'm saying? They always needed a divine intercessor in order to shoot the fair one, because they just ain't have it. The kingdom was too vast. But you God's chosen. That shit should mean nothing. But you also had to go to Kemet in order to be housed and fed. The continuation of your narrative and story, your messiahs had to be taught there. There would be no Bible without Kemet, but the Bible speaks so disrespectful of Kemetic legacies. And I'm just over it. It's just so whack. And that's why you find these people today, Hebrews and Christians alike, melanated ones, attempting to bang on Kemetic legacies, because this is what indoctrination does to you. This is what it does, right? Don't get in your feelings. Right? Man. Queen Vashti deposed. For the conduct of the queen will become known to all women, causing them to despise their husbands, to say, King Xerxes ordered Queen Vashti to be brought before him, but she did not come. This very day, the noble women of Persia and Media who have heard about the queen's conduct will say the same thing to all of the king's officials, resulting in much contempt and wrath. So, if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree and let it be recorded in the laws of Persia and Media so that it cannot be repealed, that Vashti shall never again enter the presence of King Xerxes, and that her royal position shall be given to a woman better than she is, right? They orange juice Joned her. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bitch, you need to bounce. Get your shit and hit the dough. And hit the dough. It's foul as fuck. And again, yeah. Shout out to Queen Vashti. Women be still calling themselves Vashti. No judgment, no judgment. No judgment. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. All right. Damn, these phones. Esther, Queen Vashti deposed. Ephesians 5:22. When wives, submit to your husband as to the Lord, for the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of, for the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. I'm gonna keep it moving. Job 118. Job loses his children and possessions. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and reported the Chaldeans formed 3 bands, raided the camels, and took them away. They put the servants to the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and reported, your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house, when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on the young people, and they are dead, and I alone have escaped to tell you. So this when God just started going in, right? Weighing this nigga out to see if he was really that one. Who wants to volunteer for the job of Job? Right? But we all want abundance, right? We all want abundance. Daniel 6:22. My God sent his angel and shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me. Oh man, this phone is tweaking. Give me 1 second. Turn on my battery saver. Give me 1 second, y'all. Ah, man, I don't want to lose this. Yes, they have not hurt me, for I was found innocent in his sight, and I have done no wrong against you, O king. Psalms don't go there. Let's go to Proverbs. Proverbs 118. The enticement of sin. Yes, sir. How futile it is to spread the any bird can see it, but they lie in wait for their own blood. They ambush their own lives. Such is the fate of all who are greedy, whose unjust gain takes the lives of his possessors. I show greed, right? Them niggas, no good. I didn't say I show speed. I said I show greed. No good. Psalms 37:14 as a cross reference. The wicked have drawn the sword. Look, family, if this phone cuts off, if this IG cuts off for whatever reason, we are streaming live. We are on YouTube, Know the Ledge Media, and Know the Ledger 444, just in case. All right. Proverbs. Oh, we on Psalms, right? As a cross reference. The wicked have drawn the sword and bent the bow to bring down the poor and needy, to slay those whose ways are upright. But their swords will pierce their own hearts, and their bows will be broken. Right? So the righteous have to remain. You feel me? The righteous have to remain steadfast. With wisdom comes sorrow. Ecclesiastes 1:18. So I set my mind to know wisdom and madness and folly. I learned that this too is a pursuit of the wind. For with much wisdom comes much sorrow, and as knowledge grows, grief increases. I think it's the opposite, personally. You know what I'm saying? No disrespect to scripture, but the more that I tend to learn, the less stressed I become, the less worried I become. I become extremely centered. I become a better version of myself. Proverbs 3:13. Blessed is the man who finds wisdom, the man who acquires understanding, for she is more profitable than silver, and her gain is better than fine gold. Silver's busting right now, so this is saying a lot. This is saying a lot. Okay. She is more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire compares with her. Right? Nothing that you desire compares with her. And I will tell you, family, from personal experience, and maybe we got to do a more of a class on it. Shout out to my brother Spin City. He has an event coming up on the 24th. But we might need to orientate and walk people more carefully through the AI experiences. But you have to understand that your brain cannot differentiate experiences. Oh man, emergency override. Still don't work. Damn, my phone dying. I need some help. I need the charger. If y'all watching this and you in the house, somebody please bring me a charger. But whew, Songs 117. The bride confesses her love. How handsome you are, my beloved. Oh, how delightful. The soft grass is our bed. The beams of our house are cedars. Our rafters are fragrant firs. Yeah. That's that Jason lyric. You know what I'm saying? Soft pasture. She said that the daisies is her bed. She put her bosom on them daisies, like in Jason lyrics, my nigga. Remember that? Meaningless offerings. Wash and cleanse yourselves. Remove your evil deeds from my sight. Stop doing evil. Learn to do right. Seek justice and correct the oppressor. I'm going to say that again. Right? I'm going to say that again for people in the back that did not hear it. Okay? Learn to do right. Seek justice and correct the oppressor. Defend the fatherless and plead the case of the widow. Come now, let us reason together, says the Lord. through though your sins are like scarlet, they will be as white as snow. Though they are as red as crimson, they will become like wool. Right? So again, there always is this redeeming principle at play. You feel me? It's not too late for you. It's all not a wrap, my nigga. You can get to it. You can get back to it. You can do it. Put your back into it. Type shit. Right? Today can be your day where you can cleanse yourself clean of the vagrancies of sin. Matthew 23:23. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You pay tithes of mint, dill, and cumin, but you have disregarded the weightier matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the latter without neglecting the former, right? So they're like, yeah, man, you making your payments, you paying and you paying in this and you paying in that. iPhone.
That's the only one I have. My platform, so you can set it up. You gotta set your phone on it.
Can you get it from Cleo? It should be up there somewhere. Thank you, baby. Somebody heard me. Somebody did respond to my prayer. Isaiah 117. I think we went through there. We're looking for a cross reference. Right? Oh, we did Matthew's 23:23. Yeah. So they was tithing in mint. They was tithing in cumin. They was tithing. They was doing their obligatory tithing, but they was not upholding the commandments. They were not doing the things that they were endowed with the power to do, which was bring about justice, right? Make sure that the needy is protected, provide for the widow. You have the resources. You are in the position of power, nigga, but you just making these tithes, right? But you're not putting in the work. The call of Jeremiah 1:18. Get yourself ready. Stand up and tell them everything that I command you. Do not be intimidated by them, or I will terrify you before them, nigga. I will embarrass you. I'll give you a wedgie, okay? I'm gonna get on your skull like, yeah, nigga, like you thought they were spooky. Who the fuck are they? What is a king to a god? Thank you, baby. Right? You better get up. You better get outside and get this word to them. You feel me? I don't care. Ain't no big bad nothing. Thank you, baby. Mm-hmm. Now behold, this day I have made you like a fortified city, an iron pillar, and bronze walls against the whole land, against the kings of Judah, its officials, its priests, and the people of the land. They will fight against you, but will never overcome you, since I am with you to deliver you, declares the Lord. That's the type of relationship that we want to have with our creative power. I don't got the PayPal. I got the Cash App right up here. If you're asking this, Miss Harvey 917. PayPal did me dirty. Cash App did too, which goes to show you, and that's a whole nother conversation. But they will fight against you, but will never overcome you, since I am with you to deliver you. So yes, they may have fought against me, but they won't overcome. They won't overcome it. These are the little blows that they throw, but we duck those and we got ways around them. You know what I'm saying, me? Because we are with the Most High. We fly high with the Most High. I should sell that to Spirit, right? I should sell that to Spirit Airlines. Yo, I'm going to Suno after this. Let me write this down. I'm going to prompt a whole song, man. I'm going to sell that shit to Spirit. We fly high with the Most High. Because you got to pray when you on Spirit, especially if you're sitting in the back, near the wangs. Matthew 10:16, behold, I am sending you out like sheep amongst wolves. Therefore, be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves, but be beware of men, for they will hand you over to the councils and flog you in their synagogues. On my account, you will be brought before governors and kings as witnesses to them and to the Gentile. When we go out into the town, when we go out into the world and we spread the good news, right? Because like Paul, I got good news. And I'm gonna go from Samaria, I'm gonna go to Galatia. I'm gonna tell the good news that we have a food solution for our people, a farm of one, a micro farm to not only deal with food insecurity and replace it with food sovereignty, but also financial sovereignty, but also family building, but also community building, but also fraternizing and fellowship. Because now you can bring people in your community and teach them to play and get them to grow their food and feed their family and start putting money in their pockets, right? And write up their establishment as you know, a place of business, and just change the dynamic up so our people won't be in the same situation a year from now that we find ourselves in now, because the shit corny, right? But we could win the war without firing a shot. Just got to follow the script. Lamentations 118. I ain't talking radical. I'm not talking rebellious. I'm not talking any of. I'm speaking about being a servant of my people, right? And also a servant of the Creator. And at this old age, at this place that I'm at, I crossed the rubrics of 50 to sit down finally with wisdom to say, Jesus told Peter to feed my people, right? If I'm not doing something that's in alignment with feeding my people, information is great, but they need food in their stomach. I learned that during last year's dramatical situation with SNAP. Our people are dependent, unfortunately. It's our job as quote unquote leaders, and I'm only saying I'm somebody that encases an amount of light that you know, I do a daily dance with it. I don't think that I'm smarter than nobody. You know what I'm saying? I just know that I'm locked in with the big homie, and I get a lot of, you know, downloads and phone calls from him. So in my mind, I feel that I'm doing the job that I've been sent to do. You know, I'm mission adult, and the voice in my head wants me to solve food insecurity. A voice in my head wants me to solve financial insecurity. A voice in my head wants me to solve fitness insecurity. A voice in my head wants me to tell the people that we have a solution to beat diabetes, cancer, lupus, blindness. You know, I'm helping my mother restore the strength of her vision. These things are unprecedented for a child of healers to be able to contribute in a way in which that I'm like, if I just do this for another 50 years, how much healthier will the planet be, right? How much more solidified would the legacy be? Because it's an aspect of it that's legacy driven, because I want to contribute to the legacy. You feel me? I just don't want to be a footnote in it. And the challenge has always been from Sabi and my mother, they're like, what you gonna do to eclipse us, little nigga? Okay. Your job shouldn't be you shouldn't be you know, you shouldn't have to tell our story for the rest of your life. Put some chapters in a book. Go out here and heal some people. Make some breakthroughs. Right? Shout out to my brother 19 Keys. I had the ability with Goldwater to see that, yeah, it's all accessible. You know what I'm saying? And it's a healthy industry. And we were able to bring gold to millions of people. Granted, I was able to do that with CMOS when I created the world best CMOS drink with Seven Heaven. Granted, but these mushrooms, these microgreens, and this immortality herb called Jabelan tea, which we have termed sweet tea, that's gonna be the legacy play of all plays. And it's for the big homie. That's for the big homie in the sky. This is for the creator who has endowed us with these herbs, who has given us these vines, who already provided the answer Yeah, the problem was gonna happen. Yeah, we was gonna fall off. Yeah, we was gonna get caught up in this burnt house. And you know, the pixie stardust was going to hypnotize us from the fucking cracker and the devil. Yeah, that was gonna happen. Yeah, our sugar was gonna get too high. Yeah, our God bodies were gonna work against us. Yeah, we were gonna become the face of inflammation and diabetes and cancer. But there's also an answer that has been provided. And the only thing that you have to do, my child, is go and find it because it's here. Or else I'm not God. Or else there would be no God if there was no solution provided. How can God put his people in an asked out position? Creator. How could creator create everything known under the sun but miss out a solution to the things that are saddling us the most? Right? Yes. So we've been operating through these email chains and my DM. I haven't put the site together yet for it. So I'll drop the email. You could just shoot me an email and I'll correspond with you. Bluepillar44 at Gmail. Right. Shoot me that email and we'll deal with it. If you're on my IG, you can shoot it. You can go into my DM under the same name, Bluepillar44. Right? Because I don't want to lament. I don't want to be in lamentations. I don't want to lament about our people forever and a day. And I'm losing mad people that I look up to, that are elders in our community, and even some people that are fertile age in their 40s, early 50s, late 30s. They're dropping. And it's all because of health issues, because we are hampered by health, right? Because this Western society is only going to put you on allotropic drugs. It's only going to put you on chemicals, right? But my God put me in a garden. My God put the best of us in gardens. My God put us around food. My God had us around green, right? My God said that we were the chosen. We were the best people because we had access to the best food. So I want to be in obedience to my creator, to my God, to my father, as I prepare my bed. You know what I'm saying? As I prepare my final and eternal resting place, my nigga, right? I want to fill my assignment in the most vainglorious way of all, with the most pyrotechnic and fireworks of them all, some Erica Kirk shit, right? I'm not being small with this. Like, I'm going to be loud as fuck. Because my people need a solution. And we just so happen to have it. So why should we be quiet? Why should we be calm? We're gonna be respectful, but we're gonna be loud as fuck as well. Jeremiah 12:1. Righteous are you, O Lord, when I plead before you. Yet about your judgments I wish to contend with you. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why do all of the faithless live at ease? Someone amongst us should be endowed to go to the court of the creator and ask these questions, same way the prophets of the past did, or just repeat the scripture. Make this your daily resonance. Make this today's mantra. Make this the one that we all read together. Let's say it together, y'all. Jeremiah 12:1. Righteous are you, O Lord, when I plead before you. Yet about your judgments, because only God can judge, right? I wish to contend with you. Why does the way of the wicked prosper? Why are these niggas trillionaires? Why are these niggas billionaires? Why are these niggas openly able to do essay and grape and have honeypot apple? Why are they able to do this shit, God? Why is Trump able to take the oil from Venezuela, God, and use your name? Why they bombing Nigeria in your name and you not back smacking nobody? But our karma comes swift, nigga. Cause is it because we your children, or is it because you on our helmet and we the oppressed? Which one is it? But why does it never reach them? Is this shit transactional? Do I just got to get X amount of money for there to be a buffer zone between me and retribution? Or is this shit like JD Vance and Stephen Miller saying, you can only have what you could protect, nigga? You can't call it yours if you can't protect it. What are we talking about? So can you have peace if you can't protect it? We found ourselves back to this Black Wall Street conversation. Can you have prosperity if you can't protect it? Right? Are you deserving of providence if you can't protect it? How you gonna get millions of dollars from oil and forget to get the Gatling guns, nigga? No disrespect to the family, right? Because they may have been totally enraptured in, religiosity. They might have really wished that praying to their God was gonna be their cosmic covering. Get you some guns, nigga. Get you some missiles. Get you some drones. Get you some satellites. All that shit is accessible. This is the age of Aquarius. Technology is an extension of God. Okay? And he who wields the technology in favor the most of his intention, which should be bold as fuck, that's the person that's going to win out. Those are the answers to God. Those are the prayers that God answers. The bolder, the better. Okay? Where my shit? I got to write this down. But the bolder, the better. Yeah, lasers, all that. Nigga. I wish they... Let me not say nothing. Revelation 15:3. And they sang the song of God's servant Moses and of the Lamb. Great and wonderful are your works, O Lord God Almighty. Just and true are your ways, O King of the nations. What's a king to a God? What's a king to a God? Ezekiel 1:18, the four wheels. What's a king to a God? As they moved, they went in any of the four directions without pivoting as they moved. So it was like this, right? Think about a cross. Think about the cross being the cardinal cross of the seasons of the zodiac signs, right? That's all they're speaking about. Their rims were high and awesome, and all four rims were full of eyes all around them, 3-eye atlas. So as the living creatures moved, the wheels moved besides them, and when the creatures rose from the ground, the wheels also rose. I'm going to generate some of this today in AI, see how AI interprets some of the scripture, right? The demiurge is indeed a sort of God, a cosmic entity in his own right, but he is self-deified, an organic phantom deluded about his identity, non-commodity, just like the administration is, just like the king, self-appointed, right? Thinks he's God, he's self-deified, he's definitely inorganic, you know what I'm saying? And he's definitely deluded about his identity, where he thinks that his fragility is supremacy. And you know who I'm talking about. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, I want all the smoke, right? But timing is everything. Timing is everything, nigga. Trust me. Timing is everything. Revelations 1:14. Okay? The hair of his head was white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were like a blazing fire. His feet were like polished bronze refined in a furnace, and his voice was like the roar of many waters. He held in his right hand 7 stars, and a sharp double-edged sword came from his mouth. His face was like the sun shining at his brightest, right? Shining at his brightest. I don't consider myself a sun worshiper, although I highly acknowledge and revere the role that the sun plays in everyday life. And until you farm, right, You're not going to have the fullness of the appreciation of the functionality of the circadian rhythm. When you learn how plants work, then you learn how you work. And then you operate in accordance. A plant needs X amount of light during the day and it needs X amount of darkness during the day for it to grow. You need the same thing. And it will grow in sprouts and spurts, just like you, right? You need to be hydrated properly. You feel me? And you need to be in a conducive environment for growth, right? There's definitely a connection and a correlation. You produce melanin through your melatonin in pure darkness, same way that they over there producing what they producing in darkness. The sprouts, the roots go to the sprouts go to the roots, and once the sprout springs and it goes to the sun. So it's always going like this. It's the same with you. 1 Kings 4:29. And God gave Solomon wisdom, exceedingly deep insight and understanding beyond measure, like the sand on the seashores. Solomon's wisdom was greater than that of all of the men of the East, greater than all of the wisdom of Kemet. He was wiser than all men, wiser than Ethan, the Ezrahite, and wiser than Heman, Calcul, and Darda, the sons of Mahal, and his fame spread throughout the surrounding nations. Solomon was a bell ringer. He was lit, right? He was that nigga during his time. But he also was the through way for lesser entities and different type of contracts because he broke his. Yeah, y'all don't argue with me. A call to repentance. Joel, we're in Joel 1:18. The seeds lie shriveled beneath the clods. The storehouses are in ruins. The granaries are broken down, for the grain has withered away. How the cattle groan. The herds wander in confusion because they have no pasture. Even the flocks of sheep are suffering. To you, O Lord, I call, for fire has consumed the open pastures, and flames have scorched all the trees of the field. Right? They are in crisis because their food, they don't have production and they don't have grain stored, right? They don't got no backup. They're in distress. So how do we get to escape? Why are we so removed and dismissive of our relationship to food? Not food that you get through a convenience store, right? But real food, food that grows off of a vine by way of a seed, right? This not seedless that has seeds in it. This not GMO. This organic or original. Because organic is just a label about your soil and shit like that. That don't mean the seed is real. And God weaponizes food, just like this administration weaponizes food. When the administration wanted to break down Minneapolis, the twin cities of St. Paul, what did he say that he was going to do? He's going to weaponize SNAP. No more benefits to you niggas. I'm going to starve you out. The courts came and said that they couldn't do that, but they weaponized food. They did it last year. They showed you that. And how do they reward? They reward with food. They showed you that as well with Argentina. We're going to give you 40 billion to get your food back. But I'm going to shit on these American farmers, even though they voted for me. Why? Because the goal is to undermine the food supply. If they told you that the Migos ain't working the fields this year, nigga, where are you thinking the food coming from? Because the food ain't even getting put in the ground, let alone being harvested. The food, the seeds have not gone in the ground to grow, let alone there being enough manpower to harvest them. Where you going to get your food from? I seen the food overpriced last year and underwhelming. It wasn't good food. It did not have no vitality in it whatsoever. The shit tasted like rubber. But yet, I paid the most for food, for green food, And not even from the vegan shit, just regular supermarkets, they was cracking niggas, especially in New York. They was roofing niggas. They was roofing niggas with these prices. What you think is gonna be the spring and the summer? Shout out to Mandami, right? He's trying to do something, but the quality of the food ain't there. Yeah, they pay farmers not to farm, nigga. How can you make it make sense? Amos 4:6. I afflicted all of your cities with cleanness of teeth, right? Cleanness of teeth. So niggas teeth is clean. They don't have no food to pluck out their teeth. They just got space in their teeth. Their teeth is hella clean. You know what I'm saying? They ain't put no food on it. I afflicted all of your cities with cleanness of teeth, and all of your towns with lack of bread. Yet you did not return to me, declares the Lord. I also withheld the rain from you when the harvest was 3 months away. I sent rain on one city, but withheld it from another. One field received rain, another without rain with it. People staggered from city to city for water to drink, but they were not satisfied. Yet you did not return to me, declares the Lord. So when he has to go scorched earth on you, when he has to go DEFCON 3, when he has to get all of your attention and stop playing with you niggas, what does he do? He weaponizes food. He weaponizes the access to it. He compromises the harvest. He cuts your legs from underneath you by fucking with your food. Man, look, anything in Fairfax County is atrocity. Shout out to Fairfax County, but that's why I did my little bit at in 95. I ain't got nothing nice to say about Fairfax County. And that's not out of hate. That's not out of hate. That's just that's the head of a demon. That's a dragon network out there. You know what I'm saying? They yeah, I done seen the bowels of this devil, my nigga. Fairfax. Obadiah 118. The deliverance of Israel. But on Mount Zion there will be deliverance, and it will be holy, and the house of Jacob will reclaim their possessions. Then the house of Jacob will be a blazing fire, and the house of Joseph a burning fire. But the house of Esau will be stubble. Jacob will set it ablaze and consume it. Therefore no survivor will remain from the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken. Those from the Negev will possess the mountains of Esau. Those from the foothills will possess the land of the Philistines. They will occupy the fields of Ephraim and Samaria, and Benjamin will possess Gilead. Right? They got a whole lot of plans and shit like that for this land. Right? Who's going to possess our land? Who's going to work these fields? Who's going to furnish us with our food? Who's going to make America healthy again? For real, for real. Feel me? You can get it done. I could show you these micro farming techniques. You can get it done right in your crib. Fathers, you could become the God of your house. In the eyes of your sons and your daughters, providers, co-creators, demonstrators, and ultimately facilitators. Jonah cast into the sea and swallowed. This is Jonah 1:17. Then the men feared the Lord greatly, and they offered a sacrifice to the Lord and made vows to him. Now the Lord had appointed a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah spent 3 days and 3 nights in the belly of that fish. Right? And Jonah is definitely one of those deep stories that tether on let's get back to the threes. Again, if sunlight was provided in Genesis, as we read earlier, on the 4th day, that means that there has always been a legacy of this place being in darkness for 3 days and 3 nights. Hence the fact that the fungal kingdom is older than the animal kingdom and the human kingdom. They're giving it to you right there, right? Because the plants need sunlight in order to create, survive and do their photosynthesis, but fungus don't. So the fungal kingdom is one of the oldest kingdoms here on this planet, right? Just like the matriarch is older than the patriarch here on this planet, just like the people that you consider the bad guys, the Typhonians, the Seths, the niggas with the horns, Khonshu and them, all of them reigned during those 3 days of darkness. So darkness precedes the light. So how are we fully children of the Most High, but we have not embraced the aspect and the element that deals with our dark selves, or this primordial existence that we have to encompass all of it in order to be the all, children of the all, right? Not children on the 4th day when the sun came out, nigga, but the people who had the stars as their skin, those melanated people. When the sun came up, nigga, it seemed that melanin rich people, blessed and kissed by the sun, prepared to do, you know, prepared to do science underneath the sun with their alchemical spacesuits called melanin. But that fungus came first. That's why it's the oldest organism. It grows in the dark, in the cold, right? So it has that intelligence that we should get into contact with. Now, I'm not advocating that you get out there and you know, do a microgram, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 grams or better. I'm saying embrace the food, right? Because during incremental months like winter, vitamin D is a replacement for the things that you need to keep your melanin cracking. Vitamin D is a protein replacement that you can only find in mushrooms. Mushrooms could be your new meat, pause, right? Mixed in with your microgreens will give you a mega salad, because a few ounces of broccoli is 40 times stronger than the amount of a full batch of broccoli, plus minus the digestive issues, right? It's a sustainable model for who we are, where we are as a people right now, and especially what we're up against. Micah 1:16, weeping and mourning. I will again bring a conqueror against you, O dweller of Marishah. The glory of Israel will come to Adullam. Shave yourselves bald and cut off your hair in mourning for your precious children. Make yourself as bald as an eagle, for they will go from you into exile. I'm gonna keep it moving. I don't even like how that sounds. Habukak, only the 117 will go. Habukak's second complaint. Therefore, he sacrifices to his dragnet and burns incense to his fishing net. For by these things his portion is sumptuous and his food is rich. Will he therefore empty his net and continue to slay nations without mercy? It all comes back to food, right? Yes, study the basic of things. If they're saying that it's basic, food, clothing, and shelter, right? What sustains me? If God put his children in the garden first and told them, don't eat of the tree that has the apple, because the apple got a worm in it, and a worm is a parasite, just like the serpent and the worm and a parasite. They're all the same thing. They're all tripartite of the same thing, and they represent an intelligence. It's an ancient intelligence, because the worm comes before the dirt. You ain't gonna get dirt without worms. It's an ancient, antiquated intelligence. They said the bad guys got here first. Remember, they cast them out of heaven before they turned the lights on. So they know the lay of the land. They know the terrain a little better than you do. They got more knowledge of this place than you do. The parasites is extraterrestrials, right? They will override your intelligence, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Zephaniah 1:18, the day of the Lord, I will bring such distress on mankind that they will walk like the blind, because they have sinned against the Lord. Their blood will be poured out like dust and their flesh like dung. Neither their silver nor their gold will be able to deliver them on the day of the Lord's wrath. The whole earth will be consumed by the fire of his jealousy, for indeed he will make a sudden end of all who dwell on the earth. Again, we find ourselves speaking of a jealous God, and it reminds us that we can potentially, possibly be speaking about a demiurge, because jealousy is evidence of lower frequency modulation. And that's not an energy that a divine source can house. Those are lesser gods, right? The demiurge is indeed a sort of god, a cosmic entity in its own right, but he is self-deified, an inorganic phantom deluded about his identity. Oh, did we mention that he's blind? So how appropriate that we always get these stories about the blind leading the blind, right? But what if the God that you follow was blind and can't see but can only feel? So here you are down here as a sentient being doing the most, because you niggas is cutting up. And all of that information is going to the creator. It don't go to hell, right? The devil don't got a P.O. box. All that's just getting sent back up to the big homie and classified as memories. And then depending on how he feels, which one makes him feel the most, and he propagates that experience. Or so they say. Proverbs 11:4. Riches are worthless in the day of wrath, but righteousness brings deliverance from death. Hallelujah. Haggai, it don't go far enough. Zechariah, and we ain't even in the New Testament yet. The vision of the horses. Okay, here we go. Because we are coming up on the year of the fire horse. Right, we're coming up on the year of the fire horse. Yes, I rebuke any God that is not only engaged in emotions that are only typified by a human, but also a lesser human. A nigga ain't got his shit together. God don't got a wife, and a nigga's jealous. So he might be an incel, sitting up there hating because he never got him none. And we are on the downline receiving all of the unbenefits that come from some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Imagine God as an 80-year-old, 60-year-old out of weight gamer, but he has, because he got the meta glasses on and shit. His avatar is young as fuck, fly, buff, but this nigga sloppy. He got beer cans everywhere. He don't got no woman in the house, and he's just an overage gamer. And life is a simulation. And this nigga jacks off a whole lot, but he don't got a whiz. Is this your king? And y'all believing that the mansions are gold and all of that? It can be. I'm sure there's a room in Mar-a-Lago that's all gold, that this fat fuck be up in there jacking off and shit to videos of Erica Kirk, cocksucker. So that don't mean nothing. Just because the mansions is of gold, that don't mean that one of them rooms don't look like a trap house. The vision of the horses. Therefore, this is what the Lord says: I will return to Jerusalem with mercy, and there my house will be rebuilt, declares the Lord of hosts, and a measuring line will be stretched out over Jerusalem. Proclaim further that this is what the Lord of hosts says: my cities will again overflow with prosperity. The Lord will again comfort Zion and choose Jerusalem. Right? Because these people of his always find themselves getting washed up, right, by people that are not his, like the Babylonians, like the Assyrians, right, like the Persians, like the Cometians. All these people that he say ain't his children, that have all of this fabulous architecture, all of this amazing gnosis of arts and sciences, all this knowledge and wisdom that you say don't come from you, stay fucking his people up and burning their temples down that they dedicate to this God. And what do? He contracts with those same people. He negotiates with terrorists. I'm just saying, y'all might not hear somebody go with that Snoop Dogg shit. Nigga, Pope Pablo, man. Don't come in here with that Snoop Dogg shit. They be in my chat talking about I look like Snoop Dogg, man. We ain't doing that today. Matthew 1:18, the birth of Jesus. In all, then, there were 14 generations from Abraham to David. There goes that 14 again. 14 from David to the exile of Babylon, and 14 from the exile to the Christ. So 3 sets of 14. This is how the birth of Jesus Christ came about. His mother Mary was pledged in marriage to Joseph, but before they came together, she was found to be with child through the Holy Spirit. Maury, because Joseph, her husband, was a righteous man and he was unwilling to disgrace her publicly, he resolved to divorce her quietly. Damn. So Jesus done came. Did I skip that part? That the nigga did Joseph, he was a righteous man. God chose your woman as the womb that he was going to impregnate with a version of himself. And Joseph left her. He quietly divorced Mary. She was too young for that. I thought Joseph was a rider. Joseph was like, how am I explain this shit in the motherfucking ball? How am I explain this shit in the gymnasium? He's like, you ain't hit, but she pregnant? Yeah, God hit. You know what I'm saying? God got to run down on it before I did. You feel me? But you know, I'm still him. You know, I just sleep next to her, but she know him. She gonna know me next. How you feel that you could compete? Because you don't ask the details. You like, so did he hit? Did he smash? Was it quick? Did he wear you out? You know what I'm saying? And then you know how niggas is. They like, Joseph gonna hit. He'd be like, "Is my is he getting down?" Did he endow me more than he endowed? That's some deep psychological shit for a nigga to go through, man. You got to hit after God. And you got to ask your whiz honestly, like, yeah, do I hold up? Do I match to God? Did God knock the uterus out or did he leave it in place? What happened? Don't get mad at me. Y'all all in y'all feelings. I could feel it. They're like, oh, this nigga's talking blasphemous. He's going to hell. Hebrews 2:14. Now, since the children have flesh and blood, he too shared in their humanity, so that by his death he might destroy him who holds the power of death, that is the devil, and free those who all their lives were held in slavery by their fear of death. For surely it is not the angels he helps, but the descendants of Abram. So now you went that much further and you said that the power of life and death is in the devil. That's a whole different. What that changes the discussion. That changes the discussion because they said that the devil was a prompter, that he was a whisperer, that he pushed you towards decision making, but he can't put his hands on you. But he is over death. So when we saw the divine, because it is divine, right? And I am a Scorpio. So when we looked at the divine department of death being done dirty in 2020, because they didn't respect it. They gave it a redo. And they were desecrating the divine department of death by putting people in freezers and bodies not getting buried and You couldn't even give them their last rites and things of that nature. So you would say C-19 was a extension of a hand of the devil? Hmm? Or would you say that it was necessary culling that was done by Creator to strengthen the herd? Which one would you say? Because they definitely did Death dirty. And then when I seen what they did with Charlie Kirk last year, not the fact that they killed the man on TV or unalived him, not the fact that Charlie Kirk got murked. That was entertainment. I'm sorry. But what his wife did, what his wife did with the taking the pictures with the nigga plastic hands out the casket, what you did by setting the tent up at TPUSA, the way that they are desecrating, the making of the martyr is one thing, but the way that they are desecrating the divine department of death right in our face should signal to you that something ain't right. Something ain't right. These people is not the same. These ain't the same devils that we thought we knew. They deviling is different right now. Well, C-19 brought about the jab, and them people was dropping because of C-19 before the jab. They were filling freezers up because of C-19 before the jab, and that was mainly due to the ventilators, granted, but they still was doing people dirty, and they did death in a way in which I'd never seen them do death before. Now I'm seeing them do death in a way in which it's a mockery of death. I'm seeing Maccabee death that is being normalized in society that's not being called on. You don't do a person like that. Even if they was not friends of the family, right? I'm no fan of Charlie Kirk, but I'm still like, well goddamn. How y'all over here doing that? Like, you don't do that like that. You don't do that like that. They are reformatting and reframing the divine department of death. They're desecrating it. Don't get caught up when the next thing hit. The first disciples, Mark 1:18, come, follow me, Jesus said, and I will make you fishers of men. And at once they left their nets and followed him. Going on a little further, he saw James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John. They were in a boat, mending their nets, right? He went and he snatched up the fishers and said, become fishers of men. I need you to come with me to the towns to teach people how to fish. And I will take a fish and feed the multitudes with it, right? So he made stir fry. That's what he did. He took the fish, found some cabbage, he stretched the fish in the stir fry and was able to feed multitudes. I did the same shit the other night. And it was bussing. I will have you know, it was bussing. I want to feed the multitudes, right? Because Chef Pablo ain't got nothing on Chef Pablo. Pablo ain't got nothing on Chef Pablo. When Chef Pablo get with the minerals, and he put that combination together. John 21:15. When they had finished eating, Jesus asked Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? Yes, Lord, he answered. You know I love you. Jesus replied, feed my lambs. Jesus asked the second time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Yes, Lord, he answered. You know I love you. Jesus told him, shepherd my sheep. Jesus asked the third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter was deeply hurt that Jesus had asked him a third time, do you love me? Lord, you know all things, he replied. You know I love you. Jesus said to him, feed my sheep. And Peter, I will have you remember, Peter is the church. Peter is the vicegerent. Peter is the Pope. Peter is the stone that they built the church upon, which to this day, dealing with Peter Romanus and all of this shit with the popes of Rome, my nigga, Peter is the church. So Is the church feeding the people? Well, after service, you could go and get some glazed ham in the basement. But didn't Jesus cast the demons into them hams? Well, sir, we do use vinegar. But wasn't Jesus an herbivore, sir? Well, in order to do away with the curse of ham, we had to thin it out and cull it. And we had to spread it. So just like the covenant is no longer just endowed to the Jews, nigga, the curse of ham is something that all of you Gentile niggas can participate in. Yes, we democratized and decentralized the curse of ham to bring all people into it, not just them Hamites, right? But all you niggas who fell for the glazed ham, all of you niggas. We're going to decentralize this curse and make sure that everybody get it. Gabriel foretells John's birth. Luke 1:18, and Gabriel or Jabril, this is the culprit, my nigga. This is who impregnated Mary and said that he came in the name of God. I came in the name of God to put God in you. His name is Jesus, though. You know what I'm saying? But he sent me with the wood, pause. I thought the angels were eunuchs and they didn't have phalluses, right? Imagine that porno if it came out. Gabriel meets Mary, lifts the window up, crawls in it, shows up on the window as a bird first. The bird says, God sent me to impregnate you with God. She opens the window up. The nigga morphs like Blackula into a whole being. This angel got angles on him. Yeah. And then he cast the wood in her, and she was with child. And they said that that came from God. But John got to go to church and explain why Mary got a belly on her and he ain't hit yet. But he said Gabriel hit in the name of God. And he will go on before the Lord in the spirit and power of Elijah to turn the hearts of the fathers to their children and the disobedient to the wisdom of the righteous, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. How can I be sure of this? Zechariah asked the angel. I am an old man and my wife is well along in years. I am Gabriel, replied the angel. I stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to you and to bring you this good news. I'm bringing the good news. I'm bringing the good news to you, right? I came to hit. He's like, nigga, I am in the presence of God. I represent the phallus of God, and I came to lay it down. He like, my wife too old for that. My wife too old for that. She can't take that thing. Hallelujah, amen. Judges 6:36. Then Gideon said to God, if you are going to save Israel by my hand, as you have said, then behold, I will place a fleece of wool on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece and all of the ground is dry, then I will know that you are going to save Israel by my hand, as you have said. And that is what happened. When Gideon arose the next morning, he squeezed the fleece and wrung out the dew, a bowl full of water. Bowl full of water. Yeah, there's been a lot of pimping going on in this book since the serpent pimped on Eve first, right? The pimping, they said that prostitution is the world's oldest religion because Eve got pimped on first by the serpent. I don't know if y'all knew that that's what they was trying to tell you. I don't know if I was the one that's supposed to crack that code and spill the beans. But that's what they mean when they say the prostitution is the oldest occupation, right? Eve got pimped first by the serpent, who at first was a worm that she had encountered through the apple. And yeah, she let him put the serpent in her. The word became flesh. John 1:18. For the law was given through Moses, grace and truth came through Christ. No one has ever seen God, but the one and only Son, who is himself God and is at the Father's side, has made him known. And this was John's testimony when the Jews of Jerusalem sent priests and Levites to ask him, who are you? Who are you, nigga? So Moses didn't see him. So Jonah, all of these people didn't see him. All of a sudden, I throw the whole Old Testament out? Joshua didn't see him. Oh, hold on. Elijah didn't see him. This nigga went to heaven still living. He went to heaven with his Jordans on, but he didn't see him. He went to heaven with his Timberlands on, but he didn't see him. He ain't die, so he's not immortal. What about Elijah? What about Elijah? He said they never seen him. They said they never seen God. He showed up a lot of times. The countenance or the face of God shows himself in the clouds. Y'all didn't read they didn't read the Old Testament. Romans 1:20. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from his workmanship, so that men are without excuse. Yes, we are definitely inspired by the work that the big homie puts in to get up, get out, and do our toil, put our piece of work in, because it's like, yeah, you can't outwork God, but God be working. Acts 1:18. Matthias replaces Judas. He was one of our number and shared in this ministries. Now, with the reward for his wickedness, Judas bought a field. There he fell headlong and burst open in the middle, and all his intestines spilled out. This became known to all who lived in Jerusalem, so they called that field in their own language Akeldama, that is, field of blood. It all comes down. Hope they ain't grow nothing in that. What comes out of that field? We have different accounts of it. Matthews 27:3. When Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that Jesus was condemned, he was filled with remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders. I have sinned by betraying innocent blood, he said. What is that to us? They replied. You bear the responsibility. So Judas threw the silver into the temple and left. Then he went away and he hung himself. That's what they say. They say that Jesus was hung too. But there would be no Jesus without Judas. So why was Judas so heavy on himself when he played a divine role? A divine role, right? Jesus had to know who Judas was, and he had to know that he was about to go, or he ain't Jesus. That's called common sense. God's wrath against sin. How did they catch Jesus slipping or sleeping? Didn't he sign up for this? Didn't he write this script? Right? They caught him by surprise. He didn't know that the very script that he wrote was about to be fulfilled, right? Or did he have to pretend like he didn't know? I don't get it, man. Romans 1:18, God's wrath against sin. Paul messed this whole shit up. Paul messed it up by putting all of this goddamn rhetoric in it for the Romans to turn a regular prophet into a fucking deity so they could control you niggas' minds to the end of time. God's wrath against sin. For the gospel reveals the righteousness of God that comes by faith from start to finish, just as it is written. The righteous will live by faith. The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all of the godlessness and wickedness of men who suppress the truth by their wickedness. For what may be known about God is plain to them because God has made it plain to them, right? What more do we need to know? What more plain to us? That you need to get into the field and grow some food, right? That you need to get into the field and you're responsible. You can only eat what you kill in the field. So you need to go and get you some food, figuratively speaking and literally, right? But we can grow food not in the field, but right in our cribs, right? And if you don't have a field, then you can partner with somebody that does have a field, right? The city needs to start working with the rural. The urban not needs to start working with the suburban and these rural communities to bring this fresh food in. So we all can have access to God by way of his expression of himself in the plant kingdom, and even for those that indulge in the animal kingdom, get the best pieces, get the best food, get the freshest of it. Find you a farmer, find you a butcher. You know what I'm saying? Get the real food. It's redeeming, it's rewarding. 2 Thessalonians 2:10. And with every wicked deception directed against those who are perishing because they refuse the love of the truth that would have saved them. For this reason, God will send them a powerful delusion so that they believe the lie, in order that judgment may come upon all who have disbelieved the truth and delighted in wickedness, right? So some people are running off of a long-standing lie, and it's almost as if God has tempted to set them up, right? To see what they'll fall for, to see how faulty they are, and their willingness to show up at the altar of false idols and give of themselves, right? Their obedience, their attention, their energy, their tribute. When the truth is overlooking them the whole time, like, for real, nigga, that's what we doing? Hmm? That's what you think that you came here to do? Prop a fucking man up? Worship underneath a man's deodorant? That's what you think you came here to do? Not in getting, but not getting to the field and toil and grow food, but not to build the homes if you find yourself homeless, right? You got land in your family, but don't know what to do with it. But there's people in your family that's homeless and starving or without work, but you're not growing no crops. 1 Corinthians 1:18, the message of the cross. For Christ did not send me to baptize, but to preach the gospel, not with words of wisdom, lest the cross of Christ be emptied of his power. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, the intelligence of the intelligence of the intelligent I will frustrate, right? Because it's not about left brain activity, it's about right brain. It's about being creative, it's about growing food, it's about eating and indulging and enjoying life. It's not about being deep all the time. It's not about philosophizing. This shit is not, it don't go that deep. Put a seed in soil, you get to see God. Or closer to it, right? Participate in co-creation. Go and have some children. Formulate a family though. Marry that woman, right? Propagate creation in all of its aspects, right? So your journey through this thing, you won't leave too many too much of a heavy footprint that somebody else got to come behind the scrub. Let's go to 2 Corinthians. Let's speed it up. We are embarking on a 3-hour mark once again. You know, these joints have been just going into the hours and the hours. So I am more than honored, by those of you who have stuck with us through these demonstrations. We 3 hours in. I don't know nobody that would sit in church for 3 hours. So the fact that you guys continuously show up show appreciation, and show honor and tribute for this line of work that we are engaged in. I want to say thank you humbly. You know what I'm saying? Paul's change of plans, 2 Corinthians 1:18. I'm talking to Pablo. When I planned this, did I do it carelessly, or do I make my plans by human standards so as to say yes, yes, when I really mean no, no? But as surely as God is faithful, our message to you is not yes and no. For the Son of God, Jesus Christ, who was proclaimed amongst you by me in Silvanus and Timothy, was not yes and no, but in him it has always been yes. It has always been yes. Collapse the wave, become quantum, right? Yes. 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 Make that affirmation. Magnetize the results to you. Stand on business, right? Don't waver. Even when you can't, say that you can. See how things change. Hebrews 6:18. Thus, by two unchangeable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled to take hold of the hope set before us may be strongly encouraged. You know, Jesus was a herbivore, he was a healer. You know what I'm saying? He was a herbalist. Um, yeah, and he never said no. You know, oh, that's never too big of a task. I'll figure it out. I'll get it done, right? I will allow myself to be a fulcrum through which the cosmos can work because the universe has supplied a solution and an answer to all things. There's nothing that exists that baffles creator, right? Somebody said you need to get you a white woman, brother Blue. Nah, I don't. I have the woman that I need, you know what I'm saying? Especially for my longevity plans of creating a fully functional, flourishing family. I don't need a European for that. Um, truthfully. Paul preaches the gospel. Galatians 1:18. Shout out to Pablo. Nor did I go up to Jerusalem to the apostles who came before me, but I went into Arabia and later to Damascus. Only after 3 years did I go up to Jerusalem to confer with Cephas, and I stayed with him 15 days. But I saw none of the other apostles except James, the Lord's brother. So this is, of course, this is Paul talking about when he picked up his prophecy. I mean, when he picked up his ministries and did the work of the Lord. He didn't go amongst the apostles. He didn't go to places that have already heard the word. He wasn't looking for company, you know what I'm saying, from the people who was already, quote unquote, on assignment. He went and he spread the good news with places that were food deserts, with places where they were food deserts in terms of them being message deserts at that time. The food would be the word, right? But now we need to make sure that this food is physical. We need to go into food deserts and bring food security, bring food insolvency, bring food superiority, bring food supremacy. We need to heal our people with these same foods that we bring. We need to heal those internal people who are the apostleships of this mission and assignment of financial insecurity, the ability to feed themselves and their firstborn family. And then they go out into the community and start picking them up, right? Lifting them up. And then you got microgreens and stuff that you can buy at the grocery store, that you can buy at the convenience store, that you can buy at the gas station. You feel me? You know, pounds of sea moss that you can get on a regular. You feel me? Wherever you at, you know that it's available. We need to become those people. You know what I'm saying? We need to become that network. Resilient. Helpers and healers. Right? The people who need it the most. We know where they at. We know who they are. Right? Who's willing to do the work? Because somebody got to go down and get in there. in order to lift them people just past the soil. Yeah, they might be on demon time, they might be in the underworld, but in the underworld, in Hebraic terms, they will call it Sheol. And Sheol has 7 layers. And the thinnest layer is hell on earth. It's a word called Gehenna. And the color of it is red. So yeah, they might be in hell, but it's a thin crust. It's hell on earth. It's a shallow hell. They can be lifted up out of there. They're not in the bowels. They're not in the depths of it. They're not in the stomach and in the small intestine of the fucking belly of the beast. No, they can be coughed up like Jonah, nigga. Who's willing to do the work? I believe, I know that it can happen, that we can get to these people. They will respond to the food in real time. That their cells in their body will be like, feed me, P-more, I need some more. And then you teach them how to fish, proverbially, teach them how to grow their own food. Spiritual wisdom, Ephesians 1:18, that the God of our Lord Jesus Christ, the glorious Father, may give you a spirit of wisdom and revelation in your knowledge of him. I ask that the eyes of your heart may be enlightened, so that you may know the hope of his calling, the riches of his glorious inheritance in the saints, and the surpassing greatness of his power to us who believe. They are in accordance with the working of his mighty strength. You know, and until we get out here in the field, until we put these things in our hands that make us feel more connected to one another, such as food. Because like I said, I feel whole when I'm feeding people who need food. That I feel of my greatest service. I feel fulfilled. I feel amazing as a vessel of service, in service. So when you get out there and you start working with your people and you start seeing those smiles on their face, and 2 or 3 days later, you start hearing testimonies about how things have changed in their life. You know what I'm saying? Then those are the things that definitely that's the redemptive reasons for you to continue to work, for you to step it up. You feel me? Ephesians 1:18. Now let's keep it moving. Philippians. We in Philippians. We'll go to 1:18. Philippians. All right. Paul's trials advanced the gospel. The gospel is the good news, right? And any good news can be the good news. Paul was proselytizing about the ministries of Jesus. You feel me? That was the good news that he was spreading. This Pablo, I got a different message. The good news that I'm spreading is that we have answer for our people: diabetes, cancer, sickle cell, weight, lack of energy, erectile dysfunction, all of that shit, right? All of those lesser gods, all of those devils and demons, yeah, we're going to cast them out of the body of Christ. Feel me? We got a remedy, we got a protocol, we got an answer. I'm going to the highest mountain to tell the good news. I'm using this vocal mouthpiece, this bullhorn, this megaphone, right? To let it be known that we do have an answer. Yes, it is possible to order the tea. You can DM me, right? You can DM me, you can email me. I see somebody had shot one through while I'm on the live. Second I get off of this, I will tend to that email. All right, bluepillar44@gmail.com, and we get you right. ASAP. Okay. The former, however, preach Christ out of selfish ambition, not sincerely, supposing that they can add to the distress of my chains. What then is the issue? Just this, that in every way, whether by false motives or true, Christ is preached. And in this I rejoice, yes, and I will continue to rejoice, because I know that through your prayers and the provision of the Spirit of Christ, my distress will turn out for my deliverance. So that's Paul, on his insistence that even if he was remixing the message, even if he was deviating from what James and them was doing in the initial early cults of Christians, he was going to redefine what Christianity was. He was going to press the line. He was going to deify this man. He was going to do whatever he needed to do to fulfill his assignment as a roadman agent. I couldn't even get that word out the right way. It hurts me to say it. But nonetheless, we're here to do the work. Right? And we have to restore that which has been unrestored. We have to right that what has been unright. No, Paul was not a Gnostic. Paul went against Gnostic teachings. James and them was the Gnostic for the most part. Paul was a Roman agent who utilized a lot of these different demonstrations to appeal to a larger swath of people. Remember, he was decentralizing Christ to make him accessible to Gentiles. Well, the Gnostic scripts talked about Christ within, right? Paul, he mystified Christ, or Jesus, should I say, and made him more of a deific figure than he originally was. That's not what James and them was teaching. It's not what his brother, it's not what his apostles were teaching. All of that got remixed. And we're reading it and we're thinking that that's what the script was, but all of that got changed during the Council of Nicaea in 322 AD, or on or about, right? 2 Corinthians 12:9. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is perfected in weakness, right? My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is perfected in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly in my weaknesses, so that the power of my Christ may rest on me. That is why, for the sake of Christ, I delight in weaknesses, in insults and hardships and persecutions and difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. It's that feeling of doubt. It's them saying that you can't get it done. It's the weight that's on the bench that they like, nigga, that's too much. You can't lift that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to hurt yourself, right? Let the big dudes do it. Shit like that. And it's a challenge to you. They told you you couldn't do it. They doubted you. You feel me? They're casting doubt on you, and it's becoming weighty. But you have the ability to squat it. You have the ability to bench it. You have the ability to deadlift it, and to prove all of the haters and the doubt is wrong. And then that gives you so much more power. That gives you so much more invigoration, right? That prepares you for the next challenge. You know what I'm saying? So at your weakest, you can be your strongest. And it also gives you the opportunity to demonstrate in real time that that weakness has been overcome. So once you put that in your back pocket, then what? Once you put that in your back pocket, then what? I got something coming up the end of the month with Red. I just got to get the date situated. The supremacy of Christ, we're in Colossians 1:18. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning and firstborn from amongst the dead, so that in all things he may have preeminence. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him. Right? And again, shout out to the legacy and the life of a brother named Bill Donahue, who was an astrotheologist. He used the astrological system to explain the Bible for the most part. And he would always teach, and I'm a student of his, that the coded references when they were speaking about Jesus or Christ in the Bible, it was the right brain. It was the part of the brain that has not been accessed. It's the feminine, the divine feminine part of the creative part, the part that's dealing with mathematics, the part that's dealing with music, the part that's dealing with art, right? It's the true fusion of the Jesus, the Christ. Jesus is the man, Christ is the spiritual nature. They are twins. They're not the same being. One is walking the earth, the other is the transcendental aspect of that particular demonstration. But all of it deals with activation of the right brain. And how does that take place? By meditation. By meditation. You know what I'm saying? By going back to the origins of what I'm speaking on, like when we get back to Om. You feel me? So history has shown that Paul definitely deified the Christos, which his brothers and them was just saying, yo, he's a prophet. He was a prophet. He had a message. He was one of the ones, but he wasn't the one. And the acceptance of that narrative has created so many questions, created so many problems with people who want to digest this information. They just can't. It's something that's being stuck in the esophagus pause because when you apply logic to it, it doesn't make sense. God's grace to Paul, and Paul, for the most part, hijacked. Christianity comes from Paul. The New Testament comes from Paul. He wrote 14 out of the 22 books. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't James, it wasn't the brother of Jesus. It was Paul with the Romans. The same people who strung him up is the same people who strung him up. You know what I'm saying? God's grace to Paul for this, but for this very reason I was shown mercy, so that in me, the worst of sinners, Jesus Christ might display his perfect patience as an example to those who would believe in him for eternal life. Now to the King, eternal, immortal, and invisible, the only God, be honor and glory forever and ever. Amen. Timothy, my child, I entrust you with this command in keeping with the previous prophecies about you, so that by them you may fight the good fight. So this was tantamount to this. Like, let's say we see Trump, right? We see the purple, we see the orange one, and and we see how he has a heavy hand towards melanated people or melanated causes to the degree where they took a military response to woke. There's a literal war on woke. It's a physical one, my nigga. They will send drones on you eventually, right? Because it's being run by the Department of War and Pete Hegseth personally. They hate it, right? Because it represents consciousness, represents light. They're terrified by that. So that would be like Trump going from being the most illest person with his foot on the neck of melanated people since Reagan, right? He's like inches away from getting the job done. And then one day he comes online on Truth Social and he's advocating for melanated causes, talking about the black man is God, and I'm gonna change my name to Trump X, and you know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna go around proselytizing the fall of America and all of the other writings and teachings of Elijah Muhammad, and niggas would be like, nigga, what? What the fuck? Who is this? And not only that, but he gets to write the book on the black man is God. He gets to write the new amended version, the new Bible on the black man is God is written by Trump. And it's a version of a Trump Bible. That's a tantamount analogy to Saul becoming Paul, and Paul now propagating the faith of quote unquote Jesus or Christianity and being a proponent of it when he was one of the main people who was drilling them for Rome, right? That is tantamount to what Paul represented. And the fact that we're running with that cloth today tells you everything that you need to know about who's in charge. Hold to sound teaching. Indeed, when he arrived in Rome, he searched diligently until he found me. May the Lord grant Onesiphorus his mercy on that day. You know very well how much he ministered to me in Ephesus. So Paul was a Hebrew of origin, but he was Roman in his civil nature, right? He was accepted amongst them. He was educated by them, and he lived amongst them. He was an upperclassman, and he jacked the whole fucking narrative from the broke niggas, from the dusty niggas, which was James and them. And he cleaned it up, and he glossed it up, and it has been furnished and glossed up in the Roman church ever since. Gold plated, nigga. Right? And they use Christianity to dominate the rest of the planet with empirical conquest. They have a word for it. It's called Christendom. They're doing it to this very day. If you would so just look at the evidence. Why is it called Christendom? Because once Paul got it and brought it to Rome, right, then Constantine took it and he made it the national religion of quote unquote Rome. So he deified, he merged church and state for the first time ever. Yes. And then they created Christendom later on because they had to wild up them goddamn Muslims and go around the world taking everybody's shit. And that's how we got here. Whether you was here or they brought your ass on a boat, you got hit over your head with a fucking Bible. Okay? And they took your shit, and now you here online arguing with one another about whose shit they took the worst or something stupid like that. Let me keep it moving. Philemon 118. We almost finished, y'all. Paul's appeal for Onesimus. So if you consider me a partner, receive him as you will receive me. But if he has wronged you in any way or owes you anything, charge it to my account. I, Paul, write this with my own hand. I will repay it, not to mention that you owe me your very self. Oh, talking greasy, calling in favors, right? Pushing his weight around, leveraging, right? How he got things done. So Paul had the command of the Romans. He could sick the Romans on the Hebrews because the Hebrews wanted to wash him up, right? They invited him back to Jerusalem, and then they wanted to string him up. He called on the Romans to come and rescue him because he was a Roman citizen. The Hebrews can't harm a hair of a Roman citizen. So then he was on like house arrest in Rome, but he was delegating while he was on house arrest. He had the bread, he had the influence, and he had the education. He was taught in the Hellenistic ways of the quote unquote the Greeks. So he knew the mythos, he knew all of the shit. And then he traveled abroad, so he took all of the Gentile pagan ways, such as the Eucharist, right? All of that was him. And he merged all of it into a form of religion that he called Christianity. It was never called that prior to him because it didn't exist. All of it comes from Paul. It's called Pauline Christianity specifically for a reason because it was created by Paul, right? Jesus was not a Christian. Christianity is a religion about Christ, but it's not a religion that was started by Christ. Okay? Matthews 18:21, Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother who sins against me? Up to 7 times? Jesus answered, I tell you, not just 7 times, but 77 times. Because of this, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servant. Okay? So if that's your brother, he should get a pass. He should continuously receive, forgiveness and the willingness and access for him to do better, get his shit right. Because that is the favor, that is the same discretionary discipline that Creator has with us. Good and perfect gifts. This is James 1:18. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, with whom there is no change or shifting shadow. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, that we would be a kind of first fruits of his creation. My beloved brothers, understand this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to anger. Right? This is that game. That's when they put niggas in. It's that miracle whip, nigga. This when they put niggas in game. Okay? It's that game. This is the, it's that game. A book of poetry. Let's keep it moving, man. It's the same of the same. They just reiterating the same thing over and over again, just locking people into this game and not giving proper interpretation. You feel me? About what exactly is this hitting for? Oh, Tequila, your name is Paul as well, so is mine. Join the club. A call to holiness, 1 Peter 1:18. Since you call on the Father who judges each one's work impartially, conduct yourselves in reverent fear during your stay as foreigners. For you know that it was not with perishable things such as silver or gold that you were redeemed from the empty way of life you inherited from your forefathers, but with precious blood of Christ, a lamb without blemish or spot. So they're shitting on the older guys. They're shitting on their ancestors. They're shitting on the old way. They're shitting on the old religion. They're shitting on that Moses stuff. Right? Because they don't deal with animal sacrifice no more to get the attention of God, to make good with God. They're not sacrificing animals. The main sacrifice was the human sacrifice of Jesus. The blood of Jesus was the sacrifice. That was the sacrifice that keeps on giving, nigga. Okay? It's the ebo that keeps on giving. In African terms, if you need to understand it. Romans 3:24, and it was all game laid down by Paul. And are justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is Christ. God presented him as an atoning sacrifice in his blood through faith in order to demonstrate his righteousness, because in his forbearance he had passed over the sins committed beforehand. 2 Peter 1:18. Eyewitness of his majesty. For he received honor and glory from God the Father when the voice came to him from the majestic glory, saying, "This is my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased." And we ourselves heard this voice from heaven when we were with him on the holy mountain. We also have the word of the prophets as confirmed beyond doubt. And you will do well to pay attention to it, as to a lamp shining in a dark place until the day dawns and the morning star rises in your heart. Right? So what morning star are they speaking about? They're speaking about Lucifer, or are they speaking about Jesus? Which one? Which morning star are they duking it out for? Let me go to 1 John 1:18. Then we're going to go, no, I don't got it. Okay. Let's go to 3 John 1:18. They ain't got one there either. Let's go to Jude, and then we're going to end up in Revelations, and we out of here. A call to persevere, like Paul Revere. But you, beloved, remember what was foretold by the apostles of our Lord Jesus Christ, when they said to you, in the last time there will be scoffers who will follow after their own ungodly desires. These are the ones who cause divisions, who are worldly and devoid of the Spirit. Yeshua, yes. Who are devoid of the Spirit. 2 Peter 2:1. This one is deep. This is personal. Now there were also false prophets amongst the people, just as there will be false teachers amongst you. They will secretly introduce destructive heresies, even denying the master who bought them, bringing swift destruction on themselves. Many will follow in their depravity, and because of them, the way of truth will be defamed. In their greed, these false teachers will exploit you with deceptive words. The long-standing verdict against them remains in force, and their destruction does not sleep. Right? Shout out to Drewski for pulling the shades back, my nigga. Right? Everybody in their feelings, but you know goddamn well, right? He hit that shit on the head perfect. People is up in there pimping the word and pimping the people who are tethered to the word. We're in Revelations, about to close out, 3 hours and 30 minutes, right? John's vision on Patmos, right? So this is St. John. This is the island of Patmos. When I saw him, I fell at his feet like a dead man, but he placed his right hand on me and said, do not be afraid. I am the first and the last, the living one. I was dead, and behold, now I am alive forever and ever, and I hold the keys of death and of Hades. Therefore, write down the things you have seen and the things that are and the things that will happen after this. And that's how, my friends, Revelations came about. Once again, through a chance encounter with an apparition on the island of Patmos with St. John the Diviner, who is a diviner. He's a seer. He's a prophet. He writes accounts about his predictions like Nostradamus, nigga. That's who St. John was. Right? And he said that they he holds the cakes, the keys to death and to Hades. Oh, you been to that cave in Patmos? I got to go. Revelations 1:18. But did we go through it? Yes, keys of death and Hades and all of that good stuff. Then we'll do a cross-reference and get up out of here. Hebrews 2:14. Now, since the children have flesh and blood, he too shared in their humanity, so that by his death he might destroy him who holds the power of death, that is the devil, and free those who all their lives were held in slavery by their fear of death. To allow the devil to have dominion over death, my nigga, which is the regenerative process, life is born out of death. That's just giving him too much fucking power, right? This is what I'm talking about. Like, somebody got to talk to the big homie, man. He getting all this shit wrong. Like, scripture says that the devil can just stand by and watch, but now you're saying that he got the keys to so is death hell? Is we supposed to look at death in a detrimental way and be scared of it, right? Why is not death the regenerative process of what life flourishes from? How can nothing ever really die? So how can something dead remain dead? It's canceled out by what we know about this universe. Just saying. 1 Corinthians 15:55. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, O death, is your sting? The sting of death is sin, and the power of sin is the law. But thanks be to God who gave us the victory through Christ. Yes, we have to change our calibration over the demonstration of death, because death is beautiful. Death is promise, and death is sweet because it's transformative. You know what I'm saying? And how are we ever going to become who we ultimately are looking to be if we are terrified of uncoiling ourselves from the physical husk that holds us back, almost like a caterpillar that needs to break up out of a chrysalis, almost like a serpent that needs to shed its skin, almost like a seed that has to, or a sprout that has to break out of a seed in order to move towards the light. We have to change our calibration towards the demonstration of understanding the finalization of death. Nothing ever really dies, right? So yes, the devil should not have the keys and dominion over the divine department of death. My nigga, God, what are you doing? On that note, y'all, again, I want to remind you that if you want to show your love, we are officially 3 hours and 34 minutes in. right? You can make a contribution to us over at $ Miss Harvey 917. I'll write it on the screen one more again. And please put in the title that it's a gift so they don't deduct, so they don't take their tithing over at Cash App. Yeah. But as always, I want to say thank you from the top of my heart, not the bottom of it, right? But from behind it, it's coming like this, like a wave of thank you. It's like, oh, it's like, shout out to my brother Lazarus, right? It's coming like to us, like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if anyone wants to inquire about our wholesale for that good CMOS, that good CMOS, right? And our sweet tea and our microgreens and a bunch of other things that we got going on over here at the Farmy, please DM me or email me bluepillar44@gmail. All right. I look forward to answering your inquiries, but even better, doing business with you, getting you some of this good, divine, vine, right? Whew. And yeah, 3 hours and 35 minutes. So I want to say thank you once again for holding it down with us, getting through there with us, sticking it out with us. This will conclude episode of Epilogue 146. It's akin to a God, right? And shout out to Martin Luther King and his family and his legacy. And I will continue to do everything in my vessel to redeem the dream. You know what I'm saying? Because I know what the intention was. And I know that he appreciated and looked at us as an upright people. And I know that he also was a revolutionary and a rebel. And I honor his sacrifice, I honor his contribution, right? Rest in power, rise in power, remain in power, right? And yes, and return in person to the energy and the legacy of King. Appreciate you, God. And with that, family, I want to say peace, love, and light, and I appreciate you as well. Asheo.